No. He shot 75. He's 85 years old, and he shot 75.
That's ridiculous.
He quit counting. He has shot his age or better over 1,000 times.
Oh
now, think about that.
That's absurd. All right, 30 seconds.
But he's a big Spartan. He's Michigan State guy, and he goes,
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton on this first Monday of February. It is Super Bowl week. Thanks so much for being with us here on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. How was your weekend?
Terrific. Great weekend. You sound fantastic.
Mark, I got 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep last night.
You haven't sounded this good in months, Moulton. Holy cow. How the heck are you came out? I thought it was 2005 or something. Man, oh man, did that have some oomph to it.
I haven't had 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep in a while, so.
Wow. Dog didn't get after you last night, huh?
No dog until later today. So boarded the dog, went to go see the new granddaughter over the weekend. Drove up to Jacksonville. By the way, record time. If there's any people from the FHP that are listening, 4 hours and 20 minutes door to door. I was moving.
Wow, you took that Clash of the Champions serious this weekekend, didn't you?
Went a little
Heading by Daytona, wanted to go a little speedy or what?
No, it went a completely different way. Went 75 to 301 north, and yep.
Finally took that route.
Yep.
So you could go through a little bit of, hopefully you could listen to a little bit of our station in Lake City.
I did, in fact. Tuned it in just to see the signal and what have you.
I know how you roll.
Yep, just a little sightseeing there.
I'm sure they are out there, but your wife, now that there's a grandchild, your wife has been posting a picture or two.
Yes.
And I did not see any with you holding the baby.
There are plenty of pictures with me holding the baby. They just have not been posted.
That's good. I'm just making sure. I didn't know if you were one of those that was I couldn't see that. Too big of shoulders to not want to carry a kid around.
I will say, so first, she's very little. She was born, like 6.5 pounds, 6'10", I think, and I will say, and seems even smaller. And they lose weight, I guess, in their first few days.
Right.
So I think at one point she was weighed, she was actually under 6. So, we're all taking shifts, and it's late Saturday night into Sunday morning. And, father hands me, you want your granddaughter? Sure. And I just take her. Now, Mark, we've talked about this over the years. I got a belly.
Yes, you do.
And it's gotten
that's like
bigger.
That's like the first one of those nice chairs for this kid.
Right. So they've got, an L-shaped couch, and, at the end, it kind of extends out. So I'm laying down, and, I got from like the belly button down there, I'm flat, and then I'm ever so slightly angled. And so he gives me his daughter, and I just take her. And you know how I've talked about you can eat food on your ledge?
Your shelf.
Right.
Right.
And, you just stack up the Fritos or the chips and what have you, and you can just eat off of it.
In this case, it's more of a beanbag chair for the child, but I get you.
Right. And so now children love me, okay, because I'm fat, therefore I'm soft, I'm warm, and the deep voice. So kids have always been great with me. You can just put them on Moulton, and there you go. The kid calms down, the whole deal, talk to them. They're great. I've always been great with kids, even though I didn't grow up with any brothers or sisters like you. So, hands the granddaughter, and I take her like a sub. And
a John Smith sub, by the way.
And I place her on my ledge.
Mm-hmm.
And ever so slightly rolled on her side with her head obviously propped up, and she's looking right at me. eyes wide open for a couple of hours. And we just talked about life and the pursuit of happiness. All right. I did not have my hands on her. Okay. The ledge did all the work. All right. Just laying there. He comes over at one point and is like, I'm like, everything's fine.
Well, yeah, they everything's a freak out right now.
Right.
They're scared. They're going to break that child.
I looked at him and I go, hey, no offense, done this before. Look, no hands.
You are a special creature, David. You are a special creature.
So there you have it.
Good for you.
Little time with the granddaughter this weekend, and she's a whopping 7 days old.
Good for you.
So I have no idea when I'll be back. I have a feeling the wife will be back in a couple of weeks. I have no idea when I'll be back.
I imagine so. I had my daughter at her first pseudo concert this weekend. They had like a Eagles cover band where I play golf at.
Okay.
And so the daughter was there and she came with us, and there was a dance floor, and she looked at me very early on and just said, Daddy, I want to go out there and dance with you.
Huh.
So I spent most of the night dancing with my daughter.
Well, there you go.
Because there's only one answer to that question, and that is, yes, dear, let's go right now.
Exactly.
So she saw her first pseudo concert. She was pretty fired up about that and had a good weekend. And myself, not seeing a granddaughter, but that's really a good thing, because if my son called and told me there was a kid on the way, I don't know what I'd do.
Right. I don't know if everybody's ready for that. And yes, Johnny Mack in our Twitch chat room said, you went through Waldo. Not only did I go through Waldo, I stopped in Waldo, Florida. Thank you very much. About 15, 20 miles northeast of Gainesville. So absolutely stopped in Waldo. In fact, I was accosted. I was verbally accosted yesterday in Waldo, Florida.
By whom?
So a young lady, and who was standing in front of me. I don't know if it was her husband or boyfriend or what have you. So it's one of those big truck stop areas and a huge convenience store. And so it's where the wife and I, who are traveling separately, yet together, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And so we stop in, the gas and this and that and the whole deal. So I'm in line. She just was there to use the restroom. So she's standing not in line. The line's pretty long. There's like 12 of us. And so we're making our way, this, that, and the other thing. Now, I've been behind them the whole time. And obviously, you go from 12 to 11 to 10, and literally, we are on the verge of being waited on. And they're right in front of me. I'm 3 to 4 feet behind them, have been the whole time. I kid you not, Mark. All of a sudden, she turns around and yells at me, would you not stand so close to me? Mark, I'm 4 feet behind her. I've been 4 feet behind her the whole time. All right. Now, you know me. I don't flinch. I don't blink. I don't flinch. And I am just staring right into her soul. Don't move a muscle. Wait about 8 seconds. She turns around. I turn and look over at my wife, and my wife, gives me the look like, let's just get out of here and what have you. All right. So wait, here we go. 1,000, 2 1,000. The lady behind me with her son says, just loud enough for the young lady in front of me to hear, hey, I'm not standing too close to you, am I?
You had to lose.
If my wife wasn't there, I would have turned around and hugged her.
I'd have lost it. I'd have been done.
Tremendous.
I'd have been done. If that's milk out the nose laughter from me right there.
And so I turned and looked at her and said, no, you're good. You're good. And we both had big smiles at one another. Unbelievable. I've never had that happen. And come on. I mean, we're all kind of giving each other the 3, not 6 feet. I don't know if anybody does 6 feet anymore, but the 3, 4 feet.
Dave, I didn't even know we gave space anymore. I thought we were past that in the state of Florida.
Just being respectful, that sort of thing. But the thing was, we were standing in line for 5 minutes together.
It bothered her apparently for quite a while.
But I mean, I was not close to her.
It just built up.
I could not reach forward and touch her. That's how far behind her I was. I could not touch her shoulder if I wanted to without having to take a big step. And Mark, I mean, not quiet either. Turned around and yelled at me.
I'm pretty proud of you right now. In fact, I'm really proud of you. I don't care that your wife was there, because, David, there have been many times that your wife's been there and you've been snarky, dare I say, abrasive.
No, Well, come on now.
So I am very impressed. You know, being a grandfather is really starting to set it on you.
Here's the other part of that when I thought about it, I had to laugh about. Like I said, I have no idea if that's boyfriend, husband, and what have you. They were young, but he did not move. He did not turn towards me. He did not turn towards her. Nothing. She turned around, berates me for those 6 seconds. He doesn't flinch either.
Which, you know, you wonder if he got in the car and looked at her and go, "Do you feel better now?"
I was going to say, which tells me that's not the first time. Because he didn't move. You know, you would think he'd turn around. You know, what's this guy doing? You know, is he really close? It was unbelievable. And hey, I looked over at the wife like, did I do anything wrong? She's like, no, actually, you were good. You were fine. It just, you know, young lady's having a bad day. Okay. All right. Good. So there you have it.
You know, you started the show off with saying words that are usually pretty magical. It's Super Bowl week.
It is.
I know. And yet I don't feel at 6 a.m. on Monday that it's, you know, I don't know if it's the LA thing. I don't know if it's that we're not going anywhere near the Super Bowl this year.
Could be a Cincinnati, LA thing also.
Yeah.
But we'll get
I'm fired up for the game. I truly am.
Absolutely. I have no idea, by the way. I have no idea about this game. And you know me, I've already overanalyzed this thing 3 times. I have no idea who's going to win. I'll hang my hat on something by late in the week, but
I've had it from the get.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Look at you. Look at you.
But I've struggled here the last couple rounds of the playoffs. So,
well, you were 9-1. You had a rough championship Sunday, but still, what are you, 9-3 against the number?
9-3 against the number.
I'll tell you what, I'd love to struggle like that. So I think I'm 7-5 against the number. So there you have it. The Dolphins have a new coach. That's
yes,
after
they do.
That's after the Jags have a new coach.
Dolphins' new coach will be carded everywhere that he goes in South Beach for the foreseeable future.
Yes, he will. We will talk about it all next. Top of the morning to you. I hope you had a great weekend. 13 minutes after the hour, it's Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Playoffs, and DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, still has huge cash prizes up for grabs.
This week, new customers can get on the game and play free for millions with their first deposit. There are only a few weeks of football left, so draft your squad now.
Playing daily fantasy football is simple. Just pick your lineup of NFL stars, staying under the salary cap, and score enough points to bring home cash.
And with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes, you'll feel the action of the divisional round like never before.
DraftKings, safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want.
Download the DraftKings app now and use the promo code M&M to play free for millions. That's right. Enter promo code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. Get in the action for the divisional round only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. What year was Melissa born?
97.
So she's technically, they say, a Gen Zer. That's the first year of Gen Z.
Well, I think I'm the first year of whatever, 65.
Yeah, you're the first year of Gen X. 65 to 76.
Is Gen X.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I read another one where they have like a special one for literally year that because you're not a boomer and they don't really consider you a Gen Xer almost. It's funny. I forgot they had a name for it. It was pretty interesting. Like I read the whole thing and it made sense. Like when I read it, because it's like it totally hit you.
Okay.
It just described you a little more. I thought it had your description. Like I'm like, that is Moulton.
He's get 4 or 3 years.
Hmm?
I think how many years Adam Gase get? He got 4. I only get 3.
I love the guy on Twitter who was going to buy us a sub. Thought the subscriptions was Miller. They're selling subs now. Did you see that whole tweet?
No.
God, yeah, I thought you did because you responded. It was pretty funny.
Oh, did I?
The guy was like, I thought they're selling subs now. God, I'm an idiot. So I subscribed because I felt so stupid of what I thought it was. I was cracking up.
I really don't like the Pro Bowl.
I got to admit, there was a time that I was into it. In fact, when I was your age.
I bet you it was much better back then.
Well, I will say they were more into it.
Yeah.
Because they weren't making the huge money. We hadn't gotten a free agency yet in the late 80s. And so the winner got more. So they played a little harder.
I saw this great tweet where it says, instead of the Pro Bowl, take the teams with the 2 worst records in the league, Jags, Lions, and let them play one game to determine the number 1 overall pick. That'll obviously never happen, but that'd be funny.
Would be great.
That'd be great, yeah. Be better than the Pro Bowl. People just standing around and stuff.
Whole question.
Did you watch the Pro Bowl?
Oh, you want that to be the okay.
I
didn't know if you wanted to do something on the Dolphins coach or what have you, because usually
Coming back
gets a good response.
We can.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
19 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Great show lined up for you. JP Shadrick in a little more than an hour with the Jags having a new coach. Matt Cannata in about 90 minutes with the Dolphins having a new coach. And talk a little racing. I mean, Daytona's less than 2 weeks away. And the good old boys were at it in Los Angeles in the Coliseum yesterday. Little made-for-TV event.
Yeah, 13-second laps.
It's quarter mile, man.
I know. It was just funny. I flipped on part of the practice just because I was flipping channels. And like, ooh, I just wanted to see it. I wanted to see cars running. It was strange.
There's no doubt.
It was really strange.
There's no doubt. I mean, it's far and away the shortest thing that they race on, because even the short tracks are a half mile. This was a quarter mile. And they paved over everything. Like the field and the track
right.
was all under it. So they laid, I'm assuming, wood on top of everything and then just poured the asphalt on top of it. And there you have it. The clash at the Coliseum. We'll talk to Brad Gillie about it coming up in a bit. So first, the Jags. Late Friday night, by the way.
Right.
Not ideal time to name your new coach, but I guess trying to get it out of the way before Super Bowl week. So it was Friday evening in which it was Doug Peterson, the new head coach of the Jags. I mean, you and I have to be for this. We've been screaming for the...
It was one of the two guys that we named right off the get.
Right. Neither guy, by the way, interviewed by the Dolphins. Peterson nor Caldwell, which is interesting in and of itself.
How many former head coaches did the Dolphins even interview? Quinn,
Vance Joseph qualifies. Right. He got the year. I thought there was one other. Give me a moment. I'll look it up. But
yet another hot coordinator comes to the Miami Dolphins.
That's right.
We got a hot young coordinator with all the answers, because this has worked out so well every time Miami's gone for the hot young coordinator.
This is the 7th consecutive coach, not counting all the interim coaches. This is the 7th consecutive hire by the Dolphins of a coach who did not have previous NFL head coaching experience. If you give Nick Saban the benefit of the doubt because he had previous head coaching experience, this is the 6th consecutive hire of an NFL assistant who's never been a head coach. Cam Cameron, Tony Sperano, Joe Philbin, Adam Gase, Brian Flores, and now Mike McDaniel.
Who are people I don't want to have dinner with? Sorry. Maybe Mike McDaniel's finally the answer.
Certainly hope so. Has an interesting background. I mean, a little over 10 years ago, he had a drinking problem and he was out of football. I mean, the Houston Texans fired him. He was partying too much. He overslept, missed meetings. Gary Kubiak said, "I like you, dude, but it's the National Football League. You need to get it together." Apparently, he hasn't had a drink since 2016. He's got a close relationship with the Shanahan family. Both Mike and Kyle have employed him. Kyle on a couple of occasions. And he was the offensive coordinator this past season with the Niners. Before that, he was their run game coordinator. So he was with Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco the 5 years that Kyle's been there.
Now, David, while I don't think you're enamored by the fact that they've gone after another coordinator, your middle name, after all, is Run the Damn Ball. So given the fact that he was the Niners run coordinator, and the Niners have the best running game in the league consistently over the past few years, I would think you are going to like the style of offense that they are going to run.
Here is the only, because I don't know Mike McDaniel. I don't know anything about Mike McDaniel except, what I'm able to read in terms of his background. The only thing that I do like about it is he's an offensive guy, because clearly the short-term future of this franchise all revolves around Tua and the offensive line. So, okay.
But he's never been a head coach. Correct me if I'm wrong. He wasn't calling plays this past year in San Francisco.
No. Although, for me, that's not an issue.
I'm not saying that it is for me either. What I'm just saying is I'm very curious who his offensive coordinator is going to be.
Absolutely.
Who does he want to bring from San Francisco, or who does he have in mind to take the job of offensive coordinator, because he doesn't call plays?
Obviously, as you would expect, Kyle Shanahan said great things about him. Robert Saleh, head coach of the Jets, who was defense coordinator for a couple of years in San Francisco, he at the Senior Bowl, because the Jets and I believe the Lions
were
the coaching staffs for the Senior Bowl, and Saleh raved about him. This was before he was hired. He was just, on Friday, I think it was, asked a question about Mike McDaniel. And he ended his answer by saying, I really hope I don't have to see him in the AFC East.
And that's great. And Saleh was thought of as a really hotshot coordinator coming to the league who they expect great things out of. But his word on what a head coach is going to be means squadoosh to me. Because I don't know how much longer he's going to be a head coach because he's coaching the Jets. And they're a mess. And I know he's trying to turn it around, but how long are they going to give this guy? He's been there for a year. They're picking 4th, 5th?
4th.
Oh, okay.
And 10th. But their pick's number 4. Before we go any further.
Squadoosh?
Right. I don't know if I've ever heard that before.
Really?
Yeah. Zip, zilch, nada, bupkis.
Squadoosh.
Squadoosh.
Add that to the repertoire.
That's a new one.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Squadoosh.
It sounds like a little side dish of squadoosh.
They probably served that in a Sopranos episode.
Just, what is that? It's squadoosh. It's good for you. Oh, okay. So, all right. That doesn't do anything for you. Fair enough.
No, it's great that he spoke highly of him and that they know each other and they're going to ask that question. So there's no reason for him not to answer it. I'm not saying any of that. I am just saying he doesn't know how to be a head coach yet.
No, he's figuring it out.
He's trying to learn how to do this job.
Right.
So what he's saying about another guy what he's really saying is, I really hope they give him the Dolphins job because I'm lost and I'd like another guy that's as clueless as me to be coaching a team in my division. Gives me a better shot at a couple of wins.
As Dolphins Rule points out in our Twitch chat room, Leslie Frazier was another one with head coaching experience who was interviewed. Apparently, Greer wanted Vance Joseph. And Stephen Ross said, yeah, that's not happening. That Ross said, nah, I need an offensive guy. All right, we're all in on Tua. We got to make this work in a big way. I need an offensive guy. And Greer went, okay. 10-hour interview was his second interview. 10 hours. 10 hours. 10 hours. What the heck do you talk about in 10 hours?
What don't you talk about? I mean, that's when you're laying out your plan. That's the all day. Pat's talked about this. That second interview is an all-day interview. You spend the entire day not only showing how you're going to coach, but I'm sure a little bit of social. That Pat's talked about this several times, that is the big interview.
It is the big interview, but 10's long. I mean, think about it. That's 7 to 5, 8 to 6. It's a long damn time.
Yeah, for you and I, David, 20 minutes is a long meeting for the two of us.
I mean, for goodness sakes, that's 2.5 shows.
We're going to have a lunch with the boss today. I was in the fetal position for 45 minutes yesterday.
We have commercials, and 10 hours seems like a long time. Man. I mean, at what point, I got to admit, between hours 6 and 7, it's kind of like, do I even want this job? What more do you guys need to hear?
Probably went through the whole playbook.
Yes.
Man. 10 hours.
Coordinators and I thought that, yes.
So there you go.
He's fully vetted now.
Yes. Yes, he is. Mike McDaniel is biracial. His dad's black, mom white. So this is, quote unquote, a minority hire. So the Niners get compensatory picks. They get third rounder this year, third rounder next year. It doesn't come from the Dolphins. It's just the league throws you a bone, basically.
For losing a coordinator.
Yeah. Same applies in the front office. If you lose an assistant GM who becomes a GM somewhere, you also get compensatory picks. So what do we got? 2 left? Texans and Saints?
Texans and Saints. And the Texans are talking to Lovie Smith now.
All right. Okay. So let me get this straight. It's down to 3 guys.
Right.
And then they call the one guy up and they say, you're not it. I think the Gannon guy, the Eagles offense coordinator. So now we're down to Brian Flores, which is a fascinating thing in and of itself. I mean, could you hire him and step to the presser and go, well, he ain't suing us. Well, he's suing the league. That's a Goodell Park Avenue thing. We're in Houston. He ain't suing us. All right, next question. I mean, can you really hire him?
It would seem odd.
Now, I could.
I know you, and David, I think I could too. But
it'd be awkward,
to say the very, very least.
So it's apparently down to Brian Flores, who's suing the league, and Josh McCown, who's been retired a year and has no coaching experience, maybe at the high school level. I have no, but 1 year out of the league. He's 40 years old. He's never done anything remotely close to this before.
And he's going to be a head coach.
Right. So that's their two candidates. I mean, you could have a field day with both. And then all of a sudden last night, it's as if, I don't know, the owner said, yeah, I don't know if I can go with any of these guys. And Nick Cesario said, well, Lovey's right here. He was the defensive coordinator and assistant head coach. I mean, he's done it before. He took a team to a Super Bowl. Hell, he got fired in Chicago after going 10-6. We'll just overlook that 2-year stint in Tampa. That didn't go particularly well.
Yeah, I understand, but how's Chicago been since he left?
Only had one really good year, to be honest with you.
One.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have not won a lot of playoff games since Lovey.
No.
Mm-hmm.
But that came out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah. So they're talking to him. There are reports they're negotiating with him. I would have to think this negotiation would be pretty simple. Lovey Smith's on nobody's radar to be a head coach. I mean, what demands can he make? He's thinking he's going to get gassed. These guys are going to come in. They're going to bring in their own staff.
Exactly.
I'm out of a job at
He
my
went
age.
from being unemployed to
Right.
perhaps being a head coach in essentially 48 hours.
Right. I mean, how tough could these negotiations be? Lovey would like to call you in, and you call your wife before you go in. Hey, I think I'm getting fired. All right. Yeah, it's all right. I'll be home for dinner and what have you. Hang up the phone. You walk in, they go, so you interested in being the head coach?
I will say all these coordinators have half a shot at staying because they're running out of time of hiring anyone else, David.
Come on. There's got to be candidates out there.
I know, but they are dwindling, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Miller and Moulton, the starting five is next. Thanks so much for listening here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Went by division. That's the first guy I thought of.
Yeah, I could go Tannehill. Don't know if he was offered and turned it down. Kamara got arrested.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Got in a fight in a nightclub, it looks like.
Well, yeah,
Beat the crap out of it.
with a woman.
Was it with a woman?
I thought it was a woman.
I just saw battery. And it didn't say in the articles that I read, but I'm not saying you're wrong, David. It just says battery.
Yeah, that's true. I'm reading the thing. It does not say woman. So maybe I assume that.
I mean, if this keeps up, we might have to start banning NFL players from partying in Vegas.
It happens every year.
It's ridiculous.
It happens every year.
What does?
Somebody getting arrested in Vegas. He's like, have to ban. This is what happens in the off. This is what the offseason is. What it is.
Yeah.
It's why teams want to bring those guys in for all those mini camps and what have you, because the more they have them, the less chance they get in trouble.
Yes, it does, Spitz. So, yeah, by the way, here, just switch chat room really quickly. Is everybody else completely never heard squadouche before? I mean, Spitz spelled it right. Squadouche.
No, Spitz, I mean, NHL All-Star weekend, same weekend as Pro Bowl weekend, both in Vegas.
I did see him smash the beers and not drink any of them.
It's a good one, fam.
That is a good one.
So I heard Spieth kind of blew it.
I missed a par putt late, but made a run on the back nine to take the lead. Pretty bogeyed 17.
It's not like it's a tough hole.
Right. He missed, what, a 5-footer?
Did he?
How do you pronounce this guy's name? Is it Hoge?
I think it's actually Hoagie. I think they pronounce it Hoagie.
I thought.
Anybody know how to
Why don't
pronounce
you
his
turn the
name?
volume on right now really quickly and listen. No, of the television.
With it all luscious.
Luscious.
So he makes that one for a 3. Now we go to 17. Spieth said he hit his 8-iron perfect, left in a bunker. So he hits out to there, and that's to save par.
He
It
does.
doesn't. He hit 3 really good shots and came away with a 4. So now he's a stroke off the lead. Hoagie playing behind
there you
him
go.
on 17.
And Hoagie, nothing but the bottom of the cup.
I think the first time that I ever heard someone say the word hoagie was when I went to FGCU, like my freshman year. I haven't called it a sub since. It's just so much better than sub. It's a hoagie. Let's go to Jersey Mike's and get some hoagies.
Yeah, Johnny Mac Varner there. Good for him.
That was awesome.
So he finished Eagle.
No, Birdie Eagle.
Armadillo eggs this weekend. Do you know what that is?
Yes.
¿Qué es esto?
Fantastic, aren't they, fam? You'd love them, David. It's just sausage. It's sausage wrapped around a jalapeno pepper, stuffed with cream cheese.
Whoa.
No, I wouldn't like it.
Yeah, you would because they're not spicy. It's basically sausage and cream cheese.
I hate cream cheese.
You don't like spice?
Oh.
I hate cream cheese. I'm sorry. I don't like it.
Cheese either? What the
Now, if there's enough of it to maybe make it
We'll
so
come
that
back.
it's a very small.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. We have been at times asking, in Mark's case, pleading with you to watch us on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel and then follow us, subscribe, etc. I will say, though, commercial breaks are entertaining. And Mark's now not talking to me because he found out something about me and he's known me over 20 years, but apparently this may be a deal breaker.
It's not really a deal breaker. I just want to stick talking sports with you now. You know, we'll just talk about sports. That's it, because David doesn't like cream cheese. We were going through armadillo eggs, something I brought up during a commercial break, a little food item I made, and someone wanted to know what it was. They made it, gave me a thumbs up.
Right.
And once I said there was cream cheese in them, David was I won't eat those.
Well, you said you would love them, and then you told me what was in them, and I said, well, I don't like cream cheese.
It's a big mound of sausage. I don't know how that isn't.
Which is very appealing to me.
Right.
So is it enough of a mound
Yes.
to mitigate the cream cheese?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, Mark, look at me. I'll try it.
And I think I could prove you wrong, because I think you've probably had like cream cheese icing several times in your life and never known it, because it's wonderful.
Trust me, I've known it.
David,
really.
I'm not going to lie, man. That's a little weird.
It's a little weird.
You don't like cream cheese?
No, I don't like cream cheese. Never have. Not sure why. Just that whole, Philly cream cheese, you slice it off, lying around the house when I was young, never liked it. My mother loved it. It was always in the fridge.
I knew I liked your mom.
It's 19 minutes before the hour. It's time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Well, as we mentioned last segment, Dolphins hire 49ers offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel as head coach. They give him a 4-year deal. He's 38 years old. He spent last year as the offensive coordinator. Otherwise, he had never been a coordinator before that. The 4 years previous in San Francisco, he was their run game coordinator. He is the 6th consecutive head coaching hire by the Dolphins, who was a career assistant and had never been a head coach before. The Jags late Friday hired Doug Peterson to be their head coach, and they also announced they're going to kind of bolster the front office around Trent Baalke. JP Shadrick, who does pre, halftime, and post on the Jags radio network, to join us in less than an hour. Houston was reportedly down to Brian Flores and Josh McCown, and then last night they're like, we're negotiating with Lovie Smith. The Saints interviewed Eric Bieniemy over the weekend. Other reported finalists are their current defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen, and Lions defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn. Pro Bowl was yesterday. Did you watch?
Not a play.
Me neither.
I think that'll make about 5 years running for the two of us to not watch a play of the Pro Bowl.
Felipe, did you watch the Pro Bowl, yes or no?
Yeah, it was terrible.
AFC won 41-35, so the over was the play in that one. And within 3 hours of the Pro Bowl ending, Alvin Kamara was arrested for battery resulting in substantial bodily harm. The victim called the police while in the hospital about 2.5 hours after the game was over. Apparently this happened.
Happened the night before the game. He got arrested,
2.5 hours after the game.
Yeah.
So, don't know if you saw this. The Hurricanes hired Michigan offensive coordinator Josh Gaddis for the same job. Gaddis released a statement saying, I found out in the last couple of weeks that I'm really not appreciated around here. And he didn't mean Harbaugh. He meant the administration. My guess is he wanted more money. He was the Broyles Award winner, top assistant in the country, that sort of deal. They had just lost their defensive coordinator to the Ravens.
Right.
Well, now
he went and he revamped the staff with these young guys who were supposed to be a lot better recruiters.
Yeah.
And the defense obviously was much better. He lost that coordinator. The offense was pretty solid.
He lost that coordinator. So Harbaugh's back, but he needs to hire a couple of coordinators. The Olympics, Michaela Schifrin, who won the giant slalom last Winter Olympics, crashed. First run, missed a gate.
Like the 5th gate, too. Like right out of the chute, basically, and she's done.
Right. And Jalen Koff captured a silver in moguls for the U.S. So far, the U.S. with 2 silver medals in the Winter Olympics. Figure skater.
Yeah, the male figure skater it was announced tested positive for COVID.
Right. However, if, has a couple negative tests, is going to be able to compete. And he is a serious medal contender.
Absolutely.
So that's worth paying attention to.
By the way, the young lady in the X Games skiing who basically gave her citizenship up to ski for China.
Well, I don't think she gave her citizenship up. She just said, because her mom was born in China. Right. She was born in the U.S. She's lived in the U.S. her whole life, but she's competing for China.
but she crashed. And apparently is just getting berated by the Chinese on whatever their social media platform is. So this is not working out all that well for her.
Joey Logano won the Clash at the Coliseum. He led 35 of the 150 laps. Kyle Busch was second. Tyler Reddick, who led over 50 laps, finished third to last at 21st. There were just 23 cars in this thing. It was the debut of the next-gen car, Mark. You know, this event had it all. Had Ice Cube, it had Pit Bull. They both performed. Jeff Gordon lit the cauldron. And like I said, it was a made-for-TV event. NASCAR doing something out of the box and trying to just garner some attention. Usually the Clash, this is the first time I think, and the Clash came into being in 79, I believe, and it's the first time that the Clash was not at Daytona. And so they're trying something.
Hey, I think it's a great idea anytime you do something a little different.
Brad Gillie, who covers NASCAR for PRN, will join us in the 8 o'clock hour. The NBA trade deadline is Thursday, and there was a decent deal that went down yesterday. I have no idea what the Pacers are thinking. They gave Karis LeVert away to Cleveland. They're getting a first-round pick that's protected, so it's going to be in the 20s, 2 second-round picks, and they take on Ricky Rubio's salary as a free agent at the end of the year, and he's hurt, so he's never going to play for them. So they get a first and 2 seconds for Karis LeVert, who's now got a year and a half in Cleveland. The Cavs are like a game behind the Heat for the best record in the East. Good for them.
And you've been I'll give you credit, David. You've been all over this since the beginning of the season of that the Cavs have been playing really good basketball.
And they're young. They are young, right, Felipe?
Yes, I am all in on the Cavs.
Yeah. And they're so good, in fact, it would not be surprising if there's a player. I mean, there are rumors out there that they're so good that LeBron wants to return. And it's probably because he's seen a few of their games on TV and he knows what he's outside of AD. He's like, well, I don't have much here.
He's been watching Westbrook shoot the last 3 or 4 games.
Wow. By the way, this is also Karis LeVert and Jared Allen's second stint as teammates.
That's true. The Nets, by the way, have announced they're not trading Harden. There was a lot of Harden for Ben Simmons talk. They say they're not trading him. Eric Spoelstra is going to coach Team Durant, which is basically the East, in the All-Star game. There were 8 games in the NBA yesterday. Magic and Heat. Well, Magic lost to Boston by 33.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's another day for Orlando. Listen, Embiid's a monster. He single-handedly beat the Bulls yesterday, 119-108. Cleveland a winner over Indiana by 13. Dallas beat the Hawks by 9. The Nets have lost 8 in a row, by the way. The Nets went from the number 1 seed in the East to the play-in tournament in the last 3 weeks. Congratulations. Pelicans beat the Rockets. Milwaukee beat the Clippers by 24. And the T-Wolves are almost in the playoffs. I don't mean the play-in. I mean the T-Wolves are the 7 seed in the West.
Another team I'm high on.
Like a half a game behind Denver to be in the playoffs. They won by 13 yesterday. I think that covers it all. NHL All-Star Weekend was in Vegas. Did you watch any of what they did?
Not a second.
Skills?
I'm done with All-Star. Like, I have officially ended watching All-Star games. I think the baseball All-Star game, if it was on in the middle of the week, there's a chance it would be on my television.
Well, it's on a Tuesday.
Yeah, that's probably the main reason. But you put Saturday and Sunday All-Star games out there, I have zero interest with family and life. This is an opportunity to actually do something.
Well, they were in Vegas, so think about it. Pro Bowl was in Vegas, NHL All-Star Weekend in Vegas. They come out of All-Star Weekend with 2 games tonight. I will say one of them, it's Carolina and Toronto. They're separated by 3 points. They're 2 of the top 4 teams in the East. That might be worth watching. We have to see if Toronto's actually, whether or not they're for real this year or they're just,
Toronto.
Yeah. And I think this is a good test because Carolina shows up every night. Tom Hoagie won at Pebble Beach. He had over 200 career starts, had never won. He did finish second a couple weeks ago. And he shot a final round 68, a couple of late birdies to win by 2 over Spieth and others. By the way, in Fort Myers, Leona Maguire, first Irish woman to win on the LPGA Tour. She won the drive-on championship by 3 over Lexi Thompson. And in baseball, now I'm not going to get it, but we'll say the owners, remember, they offered mediation.
Right.
Yeah, the players said, yeah, we ain't interested in that. So apparently the owners' meetings are this week in Florida, and the expectation is that the owners will get together and they'll come back with a counter proposal. Yeah, it's February 7th. Spring training was supposed to start in 9 days.
Good luck.
Games were supposed to start in 19.
Right.
Yeah, okay. But the big news yesterday is that the Cubs are apparently in talks with Sinclair Broadcasting to launch a streaming service. Seth Everett has talked about this a lot. That you can,
well, if you get MLB TV, you can't get your local games.
Right. And so the Cubs are basically taking matters into their own hands. Major League Baseball is not happy with the Cubs at all. And, you know, we think that Major League Baseball's model is a little broken. It's these regional cable channels. People are cutting the cord, et cetera, but that's where the big money in local television is.
Correct.
With the Bally Sports of the world. And this is a way to get around that.
Good for the Cubs.
Well,
we'll see.
I mean, the financial model of the sport is not based on doing this. So this will be very interesting to see how this works out.
We'll see whether or not Major League Baseball, quite frankly, allows it, or whether or not they think the Cubs are breaking the rules. I see a court case. No, I do. I could see the Cubs being Jerry Jones here. Remember when Jerry he owned the team for a minute and a half and he signed his deal with Pepsi? And the league was a Coke league? And the league said, you can't do that. And Jerry said, hell, I can't. And Jerry won.
Won a couple of them because then he went with Coors when they were with somebody else. I mean, Jerry didn't care.
No. You can do your thing. I'm doing mine. My stadium, my team, my practice facility.
Last time I checked, we're America's team too. Good luck.
Right. So 7 minutes before the hour, that was
the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
We got to get a poll question, David.
all right.
Probably needs to be about that Dolphin head coach.
Could be. Could also be, you know, did you watch Pro Bowl, NHL All-Star Weekend, your thing about not watching All-Star stuff anymore? But, yeah, you know, Mike McDaniel did not interview Jim Caldwell or Doug Peterson. That in and of itself I find interesting. Couldn't even talk to him?
The Caldwell thing I get. He was there, the health issues. They may not have wanted to deal with someone that was older that already had some health issues, but you don't bring – I mean, they brought 3 guys that were coaches. I'm not going to knock them for that. I'm not surprised. This is what they do.
Well, there's no doubt. They go younger, they go cheaper.
Well, that seems to be what's happening right now. Ever since Gruden got paid the big money to coach the Raiders, there have not been a lot of big money hires in the head coaching position in the National Football League, David.
Although I think Urban got paid.
And that didn't work out either.
Well, listen, with $1 billion franchise and a huge payroll in the 9 figures, I would not skimp on a coaching staff. Seems foolish to me. It's like when we talk about why are you skimping on a kicker and a punter?
But don't you think these teams are skimping on coaches right now? They're all hiring younger.
It's true. You can go shorter contracts, less money if you go that route. JP Shadrick, live from Jacksonville next hour on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I think that's a very fair question, David.
So I'm up early yesterday. I go out to get breakfast for everybody. And I throw NFL radio on. And they're doing the rebroadcast of the Senior Bowl. And it's some Southern guy with Jim and Pat doing the call of the game. Pat's up in the booth. Jim's on the sidelines. They got a McFeely guy, I think, who was a small guy but ended up at Oklahoma. He's apparently terrorizing the game. And they're talking about what a great week of practice he's had, the whole deal. Pat's raving about him. He said, I saw him do stuff this week in which my note was Warren Sapp. Whoa. So he has a sack, goes to the sideline. Jim interviews him live. He drops an MF. Drops an MF. Okay. Basically, what were you trying to do this week? Blah, 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 blah. I was trying to get those motherfuckers. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Right.
Miami Dolphins say Mike McDaniel's their head coach and gave him a 4-year contract. Will he see year 4?
Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know if you put an S on the end.
Oh, sorry. No. I pulled it up to make sure I spelled
Gotcha.
it correctly the first time, because if I do it right the first time, I'm apt to do it right more often throughout.
Right. So,
All right. So that poll question's up.
okay. So about 3 to 5 minutes later in the game, Pat says out of nowhere, hey, Jim, could you interview that McFeely guy again? I almost wrecked the car. I was laughing so hard.
This way I can vote on the poll question because I send it from Florida Sports.
Oh, yeah. Well, no one will see it, but that's good.
Well, I retweeted it.
Right.
That's
Right. I know what you're doing.
you are boy, oh boy. Grandpa.
We could start using that one now.
Be careful.
30 seconds. Also, I just want to say really quick, I don't mean to express my NBA bias, but the NBA All-Star Game is the best All-Star game.
Oh, Jesus.
Shut up.
God almighty.
The new format that they did makes it the best All-Star game.
First off,
I don't even know what the new format is.
First off, if you're having to put a format in, it's not a good game.
The NBA
Right.
All-Star Game used to be a good game. They used to play defense a little bit.
It's great now. They play defense again.
Oh, no, they don't.
All right. We're coming back.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Minute and a half past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. The Florida Sports Network. We've got a poll question. The Dolphins named Mike McDaniel as their head coach and gave him a 4-year contract. Will he see year 4? It's a fair question. Brian Flores, 3 years. Adam Gase, 3 years. Philbin, 3+. He got fired, 5 games into his 4th season? Sperano did 4. Cam Cameron did a year. Saban only did 2. Question, by the way. We are asking, will he see year 4? So if he's Philbin and he gets fired 5 games into year 4, that counts.
Yeah, it counts.
Okay. So Mike McDaniel given a 4-year contract. Will he see opening day 2025?
I doubt it.
I say yes.
I hope you're right.
Being optimistic, Mark.
That's good. There's not really a lot of reasons to be optimistic when it comes to the Miami Dolphins football team, though. You would have to at least accept that as fact.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. I'll go along with it.
I mean, why is this time going to be different?
Well, it's a fair question. That's why we asked it. I mean, you would thought Flores, back-to-back winning seasons, he would have gotten a 4th year. Not so much. Not so much. I mean, if you think about it, Gase goes 10-6 his first year, takes him to the playoffs. He doesn't see year 4. Philbin in year 3, they were actually 8-6. They needed to win one of their last 2 to make the playoffs. They lost them both. He barely saw year 4. They nearly fired him after that.
Right. And then make the mistake of bringing him back and firing him 5 games into the next season. So instead of just 1 wasted year, you get 2 out of it.
And Sperano, remember, goes 11-5, wins the division, makes the playoffs. He did get a 4th year.
Hey, I hope he gets a second contract. I hope this works out really well for the Miami Dolphins. I don't want them to be bad.
No. No. In fact, we want them to be a little bit better than they are.
But it, at times, seems like a rudderless ship.
Tell you what, I think McDaniel outlasts Greer.
Well, if he does, he'll see year 4.
Okay.
If he
I
does.
was going to say that sometimes imagine, I'm Greer, you're McDaniel. Technically, I did hire you. I mean, you're probably not a fan of there being someone else sitting in my chair.
Correct. That's the other problem with that. If there's a new GM comes in, that usually means there's a new coach to follow.
Paul in our Twitch chat room says, we can't get rid of Ross by then. Who's the we? If by we you mean Commissioner Goodell, and hoping that there's some there with what Brian Flores had to say. Did you catch the NFL, by the way, and their actions since we last did a show? Because remember, the Flores stuff is baseless, completely without merit. Yet 3-4 days later, Goodell is like sending off this missive about we've got to do better with minority hiring and all this. And you're thinking, hold on a second. Did the same people write the stuff late Friday and the Saturday as wrote the Tuesday memo? Because this second one here kind of pokes holes in the first one. Although they're saying there's no connection whatsoever. We're not admitting anything. It just seemed weird. I mean, if you send out what you send out on Tuesday, it seems weird to send out what you're sending out over the weekend. Because the first one was a position of strength, and the second one was implying, might be a little weakness here.
Right. Because the problem, to the lawsuit, unless Flores has some sort of actual proof that he was going to get paid $100,000 for every loss, like actual proof, which he says he has.
Right. Well, just like Hugh Jackson says, he's got proof not of being paid, but he does have proof of not being incentivized to win. Yeah. Okay.
It seems that without this proof, though, we think the tanking is true. I mean, teams have tanked. It's factual. We know it.
Sure.
Proving that is going to be really difficult.
Well, unless you've got the smoking gun, right? Can you humor me for a second?
I'll try.
And probably should have done this right off the top of the segment. So Flores came out and made his allegations last week, and he's suing and all that. And apparently he's a finalist for the Texans job. That seems remarkable to me, but all right. Raheem Morris is the defensive coordinator of the Rams. I don't know if you're aware, they're in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Which means at some point this week, he's going to face a bunch of media. A, because he's the defensive coordinator of a team in the Super Bowl, and then B, for the obvious reasons. He's a black man who's been a head coach in this league before. He just interviewed for a bunch of jobs, and we all know what's in the news. I was thinking about this driving home yesterday. Don't you think the series of questions is going to be, first off, is there anything to what Brian Flores is saying and alleging and suing about? I mean, that's got to be asked, don't you think? And then based on what he says, questions follow. And think about it. Raheem's in a tough spot here. I mean,
what if Raheem just says, I think there's a lot of there. I think we don't have nearly enough minority coaches hired.
Okay. And then the follow-ups accordingly. But then at some point, doesn't someone then have to ask, especially if that's the answer, well, how come you haven't joined the suit? I mean, you do have to acknowledge when Flores and his team went after the NFL, they gave the impression we're going to jump on the grenade, but there's going to be 100 people sign this class action lawsuit.
It's actually the first thing that I heard some people talking about. How many coaches would sign this? Because there's power in numbers.
Absolutely.
If 50, 100 assistant coaches all jump on this class action lawsuit,
right,
it's tough to blackball everybody.
Exactly. And the sentiment that was put out there, particularly by writers who said, hey, I've had a lot of off-the-record conversations the last couple of years with a whole bunch of black assistant coaches. And what Brian Flores is saying, they've been saying. He's just the one that's going to go public and take this on. Well, then didn't Flores give them cover to sign on? I mean, I got to be honest. If it's as big a problem as Flores alleges, and as many members of the national media who didn't have the courage to say anything about it until Flores filed his suit, and then they said, oh, yeah, I've had a lot of off-the-record conversations with many a coach for the last couple of years. Well, then don't you sign on? I mean, I would do it just to have Flores' back, to be brutally honest.
There's power in numbers. But, David, you made the analogy a little while ago of Lovie Smith going into that meeting thinking he's getting fired. Yeah, honey, I'm getting fired.
Right.
Now, imagine you're a young black assistant coach in the league.
I know.
Going home and say, obviously this is getting talked about. When you go home,
yes,
as a black man, as a coach in the league, yes. I am guessing this is a dinner conversation. Okay?
I'm guessing it may be breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
And at some point, wouldn't you think that conversation? I don't know. I'm a 52-year-old white guy. It's tough for me to surmise what's happened. But at some point, if a coach says, I think I'm going to join the suit, does the wife go, you're going to do what? I mean, it's an uncomfortable.
Yes,
This
I
is
understand,
the-
but I think that this week, I mean, there's going to be a lot of media. There's only so much for them to talk about. They can get to the football later on in the week. They're going to want to dive into this story. This story gets clicks. This story gets headlines. This story gets me airtime. They're going to want to get into this story. And on Tuesday is media day. All right. There are a lot of black assistant coaches on both teams. Media is going to talk to them about this. And by the way, everybody has to make themselves available for media day. Everyone. Now, you don't have to answer any questions, but you do have to be there to be asked the questions. But I would think, Mark, by Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, that this story either gets more legs, more oxygen, or Flores, quite frankly, has his knees cut out by his fellow black assistants.
Because you're right in that they're going to talk to these assistants, but there's also 29 other teams full of assistants that have not yet joined the suit, that are done playing football for the year. And to my knowledge, David, no one else has joined this class action lawsuit.
Seems as if they haven't. Now, there's plenty of time to join, right?
Yes.
But like DC in our Twitch chat room here says, Morris' answer better be something along the lines of there's no deadline to join the suit, and I'm talking to my own lawyers about what is best for me.
Or to be brutally honest, you say the following. I'm focused on the Super Bowl. All I care about right now is winning the game on Sunday. I get the importance of that question, and I'll be more than happy to talk to you about it next week. But right now, my obligation is to these 53 men and to prepare them best for the Super Bowl. That's what I expect the answers to be like.
Now, Spitz says they've moved media day to tonight. Well, maybe they have.
I knew it was night. I for some reason, I thought it was Tuesday night.
I thought it was Tuesday as well.
But they moved it to the 8 p.m. slot because they put it on live television now. I mean, what can't we put on the NFL Network, David?
In fact, I don't know if either team's in Los Angeles yet, right? I mean, normally they don't walk off the plane and go right to media day, but handle it. You got to kill a week in Los Angeles without getting in trouble. Knock yourselves out. Good luck with that.
Well, we know one team is in Los Angeles.
True. But I don't think the Bengals flew in yesterday, did they? I don't think so.
It is tonight.
Oh, okay.
And you can watch it live.
I'm sure you can. Let me guess. NFL Network?
Yeah.
Oh, what else they have going on?
And the Bengals won't even be on site. They don't arrive into Los Angeles till Tuesday.
Seems to defeat the purpose of it. 13 minutes after the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Detroit and Houston's wins that you don't get to the total of Phoenix.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty good.
Or Golden State, for that matter. Philly, the league you love so much. If you take the worst three teams and add up their wins, it doesn't combine to enough wins to get to either Golden State or Phoenix's wins.
So
Orlando, Detroit, and Houston have won 39 games combined. combined.
I'll tell you what, Houston is bad.
Now, I will say, if you add up the 3 worst teams in the NFL, they added up to 8 wins.
Yeah.
Houston is not good.
There are 5 teams that have not won 20 games yet in the league.
Wait, you said Houston, Orlando,
Houston, Detroit, and Orlando
Detroit.
have not won 30% of their games.
You know what? Detroit, they got a bright future.
We'll see.
I bet you they wish they had Christian Wood right now. Will Chet Holmgren be the number 1 pick? Klecko, I think it all depends on who has the number 1 pick.
According to my sources.
Because if the Magic, for example, have the number 1 overall pick, I mean, another big man, but he's not really a big man though.
Site I look at has Jabari Smith going 1 to Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
Holmgren going 2 to Detroit.
Yeah, he would be good in Detroit alongside Cade. Cade Cunningham is winning Rookie of the Year, by the way. Oh, look at that on the TV. Heat, number 1 seed in the East. Wow, crazy.
Well, trust me, it's the NBA. They love that league.
What league? Wait.
ESPN loves the NBA.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
'cause they have
yeah.
a broadcast deal with them for billions, so they're just pumping the, they're in business with them. I will say, I love me a trade deadline.
Oh, yeah. This was a huge pickup.
Well, the other good thing is that he's got next year. I mean, this isn't a rental.
Mm-hmm.
They got a chance to extend them if they want.
And the Cavs don't need their picks.
Well, not now.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, it's next year's first, I believe, and right now it'd be in the 20s.
I'm curious to see if the Heat make a deal.
What do they need?
That's the thing. We were targeting Rui Hachimura, apparently, which would be great, but at what cost?
Got anything here? Just need a short segment, and then basically roll this sucker along to 9.
Yes, Spitz, we.
What, Pound McDaniel here?
Yeah. I tell you what. Pro Football Network retweeted our tweet. Cannata, that's a good thing for us. That's Pro Football Network's got 30,000 followers.
Nice.
Cannata's got 12,000.
30 seconds.
JP's got 15. All retweeted our stuff out. That's good stuff.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
As we approach 20 minutes after the hour, thanks so much for waking up with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. JP Shadrick, pre, halftime, and post. Jaguars Radio Network does a bunch of stuff throughout the week on their website. JP to join us in roughly 15 minutes' time as the Jags have a new head coach, Doug Peterson. But Mark, the Dolphins have a new head coach in Mike McDaniel. 38 years old, been a coordinator for a year. Been a bit of a phenom, if you will. Talented guy. Everybody raves about him. He's had some troubles, though. He had a drinking problem. Hasn't had a drink since 2016. Looked like it was going to cost him his career. He got fired when he was in his late 20s. Was with the Texans, missed some meetings, overslept. Gary Kubiak said, yeah, this is the NFL, son. Got to be professional. Get your act together.
By all accounts, he has. Our poll question's really simple. He got a 4-year deal. Will he see year 4? Right now, the no's beating the yeses just barely.
That is the line of demarcation. This was a good question. This is like the over-under that's perfect. 3.5 is the over-under for Mike McDaniel. That's a great over-under number.
And you said something interesting, that you think he outlasts Greer.
Yes. I think Greer's in deep trouble. I think Ross held on to Greer barely.
That means that what? I mean, last year's draft picks have to really work out. I mean,
I think they have to win. I think they need to make the playoffs. If not this year, by 2023. Stephen Ross's patience is done. We need to take the next step. We need to contend.
And that's where they should be this year. Back-to-back winning seasons.
Right. He thinks they have a pretty good team. And McDaniel's going to make Tua better. We're going to fortify the offensive line, right? Why shouldn't we contend? Why shouldn't we be a playoff team? It's a legitimate question. I think they should have that kind of pressure.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at this year, they're going to get a third-place schedule.
Like you said, though, it's 2 games, but it could be key 2 games.
But those 2 games can be the difference between making a wild card and not making a wild card. I think it can be everything.
Especially in the AFC where everybody's jammed together. But they've got to, they swept the Patriots. They finished 3rd, but they swept the Patriots. The first thing they have to do is be no worse than the second best team in the division.
Got to figure out how to go 4-2 in your division.
Now, unfortunately,
it's tough to do. You got the Bills there.
Well, but they did it this year.
Right.
That's the thing. They swept the Patriots and Jets and still didn't make the playoffs.
Because they lost to the damn Jags in London.
There you go. There you go. Hey, Colts lost to the Jags. That's why they didn't go to the playoffs. But do you like the hire?
I don't. I wanted a head coach. I wanted someone who had done it before. We listed the track record. This is 6 in a row that the Miami Dolphins have gone coordinator who has never coached before. This guy's never called plays. This guy's never been a head coach before. And Miami thinks that they're going to catch lightning in a bottle with the young, hot coach, even though every time they've done it before, it's not worked.
Although this year's playoffs in particular, the young, hot coach is working.
Well, hell, there aren't many coaches that are hired that aren't young, hot coach. I mean, at some point, it's got to work because that's all that's being hired.
Look, I'm with Mark here. I'm sensing a pattern.
Really? You think so? Cam Cameron, Tony Sperano, Joe Philbin, Adam Gase, Brian Flores.
All first-time head coaches?
Right. This is the 6th in a row. 7th if you count Saban. Obviously, he was a head coach. But as we've seen, it's a little different Sundays to Saturdays.
It's a totally different game.
So 6 in a row in which you're going with a first-time head coach from the coordinator position.
I got the notification on my phone, and I was like,
It's interesting, though.
Okay.
Dolphin fans on the East Coast, this was the guy they wanted.
It is.
This was the guy they wanted. Not Brian Daboll, which I find interesting. The Dolphins, by the way, had a chance to hire Daboll, and apparently he who hesitates is lost. And they wouldn't go all in on Daboll when they had to. And so that's why Daboll's with the Giants.
So they lost a guy who was in their division, coaching the best team in their division, and essentially hired a similar guy who, hey, The only thing I say, I haven't asked you, what do you think of the hire? Because again, for those that don't know, David does not have a middle name. If he did, he had said his middle name is
Run the damn ball.
And this guy was not only the OC last year, but he was their run game coordinator. And the Niners run the football really well.
They run the damn ball.
You're darn right they do.
Yes, they do.
So you, David, you've not really answered your thoughts on this hire.
I wanted a proven head coach. I did. I feel that they're in a situation where they can't afford to go sideways, never mind take a half a step backwards. And oftentimes when you bring in a first-time head coach, you don't spring forward. The Dolphins need to spring. And my concern is, and I know you don't make a hire based on 1 year, but 2022 is pretty important. I mean, this is to our guy year, because we have to decide at the end of this year if we're picking up his fifth-year option, that's over $20 million guaranteed, or whether or not we're in the market for a quarterback. I mean, also, not only that, you get to the point where, yeah, we got a good defense, but you can age out on a defense pretty quickly. Look at the Bears. It's still pretty good, but it ain't the championship defense that they had 2 years ago. So it's a big year in Miami, and the owner has clearly made it clear that it's a very important. Now? The rain is falling, and it's a big year. And I would have preferred a Doug Peterson, a Jim Caldwell, a Dan Quinn, just anybody, quite frankly, who's done it before. I do think it's partly why, reportedly, Chris Grier wanted Vance Joseph. I mean, he only got a year. A lot of people felt he got hosed, but he only got a year in Arizona. And then, and that year he got Josh Rosen also. Here you go. Make it work.
Right.
And then they decide, we're getting rid of you, and we're going to go get Kyler Murray and the whole deal. And I'm sure Vance Joseph's going, well, I would have loved a chance with Kyler Murray.
I'd have taken a Kyler Murray over a Josh Rosen.
Or was Vance Joseph's year in Denver?
I thought it was in Denver.
All right. Yeah, he's defense coordinator in Arizona. My bad. So, but Grier reportedly wanted Joseph. And Ross said, no, we need to go offense. And I will say, if in doubt, I'm glad they went offense. Because I do feel that's the area in more need.
I agree, but just because you hire someone who is a defensive-minded head coach, it doesn't mean his OC won't be in today's football. So I don't know if that's necessary. I love the fact that this guy is coming from a run-based offense. I do think that'll be the best thing for Tua, is to get them a running back, to have play action, to roll him out and do things that he can use his legs a little bit to buy him some time and get outside the pocket. So I'm curious to what the offense brings, but I have a feeling that this year could be a step sideways, and that's not what Miami needs right now.
I mean, we're down on this guy because of his general managership, to be honest with you. But Bill O'Brien was available. And Bill O'Brien got one serious consideration this offseason. And Bill O'Brien won 4 division titles with the Houston Texans. Bill O'Brien can coach, all right? Bill O'Brien, the general manager, is awful.
And he knows offense, too.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, he's just offense coordinator for the Heisman Trophy winner. Worked with some guys in New England, worked with a young Deshaun Watson in Houston. I mean, a proven head coach, hit the ground running. I do think what also worked in McDaniel's favor, besides the fact he's on the offensive side of the ball, he's apparently a nice, funny guy.
Great.
And we just had Brian Flores, who is a lot of things, but nice and funny are not 2 of them.
Nope.
Not 2 of them?
Not 2 of them, yes.
Yeah,
I know what
he
he's
thinks
doing,
he's being
I know. He thinks he's being cute. Right. Trying to downplay it. Trying not to encourage him sometimes.
I understand.
We tried. It's funny. It's a give and take. We try to encourage him a lot, and then we go, we need to pull the reins back. But so I would have gone with an experienced guy.
I think we both would have. We'll see how this works out. It's why our poll question is what it is. Dolphins named McDaniels their head coach and gave him a 4-year contract. Will he see year 4? Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, or FL Sports Network on Twitter.
What?
That's the Florida Sports Network's Twitter account, David.
Wait. Affiliates? Websites? All right. Now a Twitter account?
Yep.
What the hell's going on here?
New website about ready to explode this week.
Oh, better be. I mean, we're having a big lunch today. Need to hear some news.
So nervous.
JP Shadrick. The Jags aren't nervous. They're excited. They got a Super Bowl winning coach. They can only dream he does it again. JP Shadrick next. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
At a 1 to 2 right now, and you're going to go to a 12.
Right. I go. That's a basketball school.
But
You can get players there.
But you start winning there.
Right.
Did you see Stamkos's kid?
No.
It's the best. The only thing I watched, I threw Sports Center on yesterday morning. And they show one of the kids, I don't know who it was, taking a picture with Gritty. And it's the player in skates taking a picture of his kid with Gritty in the tunnel. They go from that to Stammer in the post game. Got his kid on his lap. I want to see Zamboni. And he's asking, I want to see the Zamboni. Okay, we'll go. I think we got to go see the Zamboni. Have some water. I want to go see the Zamboni. And I mean, for 40 seconds, the kid's like, I want to see the Zamboni. Can we go see the Daddy? I want to drive the Zamboni. Can we please? And then he finally goes, we got to go see the Zamboni. He said, please. And they come back and ESPN go, you got to reward him. The kid finally said, please. It was great. Oh, wow. David Hyde, Mike McDaniel, pursuing Vic Fangio for D coordinator job. That's a good hire.
Oh, that'd be great if you can get them.
You know, it's Pro Bowl season, so obviously that Sean Taylor hit always comes up in my timeline. Makes me so sad.
Oh, no doubt. One of the guys who broke into his house and killed him was from Fort Myers.
Really?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
It was very weird. I was doing an FGCU basketball game. I think it was on a Monday. And while the game was being played, they were setting up for his funeral at FIU.
Yeah, that's what they call it, Klecko. Ice River or something like that. I was reading that this morning as well. What was funny is that there was basically no fans, obviously, at that Dubai tournament. There were some boxes and stuff, but it wasn't like there was people walking around.
So they have strict COVID laws?
No, they have strict laws about people.
Oh, yeah, right. Just human laws.
Just basic human rights would
Right.
be my guess.
Right.
That's just me.
They like just don't accept 50% of the population.
Yeah, Paul, you go to exit 358, like just north of Ocala, and you got to make like 2 turns. But then, you're on 301 North. You could take 301 North to I-10, and you're about 15 miles from Jacksonville.
It's the best way to go. You take it, just get on Waze and go that way. Just look at your routes. I think it's not 441. It might be 441 that you take the right on, just south of Ocala.
I think it's just north. It was exit 358 is where I took it.
I've always done it just south, but that's just me.
Okay. Yes, I went through Stark, although I took the business highway around it. So I kind of drove around downtown Stark.
JP's on hold. We're back in 15.
Speeda. Joe Stats guy wants to know. Wait, you're not interviewing me about Peterson? Because he's such a Philly.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
23 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Matt Cannata, Pro Football Network. He'll join us top of the hour to talk about the Dolphins' new head coach. We'll talk a little NASCAR 1 hour from now. But it's a pleasure to welcome back JP Shadrick, Jaguars Radio Network. You can follow JP on Twitter. Not going to believe this, at JP Shadrick. JP, how the hell are you?
I'm very well, David. It's nice to speak with you this morning. And how are you?
Well, we are good, and your long national nightmare is over. You guys hired a head coach. So how was Doug Peterson received in the greater Jacksonville area?
Well, I'd say it's been an interesting month among the fan base with all the rumors and the tweets and the reports that have come out of all the different candidates. There was that run a week or so ago where everybody thought, at least according to reports, a couple of reports and some tweets, that Byron Leftwich was on the doorstep of being the new head coach and maybe bringing a new general manager with him. Well, we know what happened throughout the end of the season, and everybody in the fan base was up in arms with the general manager and everything was going on there. Well, that fell through, didn't work out, and we can get to that coming up. But all of a sudden, Doug Peterson, who was the first candidate interviewed, by the way, in this entire process, the first of 10 different people interviewed, well, he comes back around and, you know, looking at his resume, he's right there as one of the top candidates for the job coming in terms of experience in the National Football League. He's got a skin on the wall with a Super Bowl championship. He has that calm, steady presence about him because he's been there and done that. And I think it's a perfect thing for this organization right now. So I think once he arrived and was presented on Saturday at the press conference, I think some fans, okay, we're going to be okay now. You know, that's kind of the feel, at least for me, just seeing some of the fans kind of change their tune a little bit after they saw him talk and heard him talk in person.
Well, they hired an adult. I mean, that was what we were looking for. And I think that's what's necessary. Miami didn't, Jacksonville did, +1 for the Jags. The next important thing is going to be his relationship with Trevor Lawrence, and it looks like that's already off to a good start, JP.
It feels that way. I mean, you know, they talked on the phone a couple times apparently during the end of the process. And by the way, what Shad Khan said, Jaguars owner, was asked, hey, was the job offered to anyone else? All those rumors and reports of Byron Leftwich. He said, well, no, not necessarily. It didn't get to the point where other candidates talked to our players. Well, Doug Peterson talked to some players during the process. So that was at the very tail end. And they met in person the other day, Saturday. Actually, Trevor Lawrence came into the building. A few other players came in to greet the new coach before the press conference. They stayed out of the press conference. They wanted it to be about Doug Peterson. So that's priority number one for the organization. You had the number one pick last year. You got the franchise quarterback. Last season did not go very well statistically, and as an offense as a whole, it just kind of tailed down at the very end of the season and the second half of the season, really. So that's number one. He has a track record, of course, as we know, as a backup quarterback around some fantastic Hall of Fame players, and Dan Marino and Brett Favre. And then throughout his coaching career, McNabb in his early days in Philly, and then went to Kansas City and has come back. We know what happened with the Eagles quarterback situation. So it's a good thing. They're excited to at least get it started. I think he's going to be great for the mindset of Trevor because Lawrence does have the tools to get it done physically, but getting everything calmed down. I'm using that word a lot. You notice that? Because there's been a lot of chaos around here. Calming Trevor's world is priority number one. It starts with Peterson. The offensive coordinator hire will be interesting in that regard, too.
He's JP Shadrick, part of the Jags Radio Network. You can follow JP on Twitter at JP Shadrick. All right. You mentioned, I don't know if it's the elephant in the room, but GM Trent Baalke, and I think by now we all know the reports. Nobody wanted to work with him. Leftwich is like, I'll take the job, but only if he can bring in my guy. We have no idea if that's true or not, but, that was out there. And so now here we are. And from my understanding, JP, is that the owner, Mr. Khan, said, yeah, he's not going anywhere, but we're going to fortify the front office. What does he mean?
Well, they're going to add people. Some of the feedback, at least according to Khan, was they would ask candidates what they think of the setup in the front office, and it's kind of thin. There's not a lot of people really involved at the top levels of the scouting side and the personnel side. Well, it was Trent Baalke, and that was really his scouting staff, and that was it. Well, they are putting in for interview requests for an executive vice president. So that would be over, in theory, it would be over Baalke, it would be over the head coach as well, and run the whole football side. Equal to what happens on the Jaguars business side, where Mark Lamping is the president of the business operations for the Jags. That would be one person in charge of football for the Jaguars. And they're putting in for some positions underneath Trent Baalke as well. So that's the idea. I think they're going to fill it out, see what happens in the executive vice president process in the next couple of weeks, and then go from there. That's the idea. But Trent Baalke is the general manager. He's under contract. And as Shad Khan said the other day, that's why there was no announcement. There's no change. He is the general manager for the Jaguars. There might be a bunch of other people around him come a couple weeks' time, but Trent Baalke is still here.
When you say fortify and add more people and in comparing to others, is the Jags front office staff far less than what a normal NFL front office staff is, JP?
Well, I don't think it's like the Bengals where there's like one scout. I mean, there's guys that are out there. The Bengals notoriously have a tiny football operations side. There are some, and they have a scouting staff, and they do that. But I think I'm talking about the very top levels. There's the general manager. Tom Gamble is gone now. He was basically the lieutenant to Baalke. He's been out for a little bit the last month or so. So they've got to fill that role, basically. Pro personnel. There's a couple of levels under there that they just don't have people in those spots right now. So I don't know if they're necessarily adding underneath him positions. They do need to fill some certain things that they've had in the past they may not have had recently. But the EVP is the one at the very top, obviously, is the one that everybody's going to be watching the most closely.
JP, I get the sense from listening to you that the fan base is not going to be wearing clown outfits and clown noses at the start of the season. Is that seemingly what the organization has done here? Even though Baalke's still here, which was part of why it is that fans got dressed up, but that apparently what's been done, hiring an adult, as we like to say on this show, and Doug Peterson, and saying, hey, Trent Baalke's not going to be the be-all and end-all with our front office. We may bring in a Rick Spielman and others who have done this to some degree of success, that apparently the natives are no longer restless?
Well, the natives are always restless here. That's how it works. But when you're 3 and what was it, 14 losses last? There's so many. I lost count of how many losses there were last year. And I'm never going to say don't dress as clowns. Like, people can dress with. I'm not going to keep score of what people are dressing as, right? So I get it. I mean, I think the organization heard it loud and clear on everything that happened the last 2 weeks of the season. So, all right, yeah, let's go out and get a guy who's done it before as a head coach, who does not have to do any deep dives during the regular season to go find out information in the NFL. He did the deep dives, back in 1991 when he played, right, when he was a rookie, and then as an assistant coach working his way up. So that all the deep dive stuff and the research and having to learn the NFL game, no, that's all over. You can just roll the ball out now and build an organization. Now, like I said, the EVP, the executive vice president role, I think when that is solidified, if it's solidified, if they may not like anybody they interview, they may not hire anybody either. That's always a possibility. But it seems to be trending the other way. They're going to hire something. I think that'll be closely watched. And okay, well, if there's 2 guys or 2 people around that have been in it before, who have some success, a track record of success somewhat in the NFL, and they can work together well and get this thing, at least moving in the right direction, that's a good thing. Now, Doug Peterson was one of the first the other day, Saturday, to say, hey, this is not an easy, this is not an overnight process. We're going to have to build here. We have some pieces. We have some good players, but we're not going to turn around next year and go win, 15 games. It's just not how it works. So he's very cautious because he's seen it before. He knows what it takes. So I think that is an excellent point. Adults are in the room now, and guys who've been in the NFL and won at the NFL level. And that's a good first step.
JP, very quickly, 2 quick questions. One, and I understand guys can get released, so this number can change. But today, what's your understanding as to how much cap room the Jags have?
Well, I think it's number 1 in the league. I mean, it's right there at the top. I mean, I don't know the exact number, about 70, 80. I mean, it's up there. It's very high. If not 1, 2. I mean, it's right there at the top of the league. And then, as you said, there's some offensive linemen that you could trim and not have any dead money, and you could add to that number really quickly. Guys like Brandon Linder and the left guard, Andrew Norwell, has a big number attached to him. Some of those guys, so that number could go up for the Jaguars.
And then top 2 positions of need between the draft and free agency. If they were to plug in 2 positions and solidify them, what would they be?
A big-time wide receiver and a big-time consistent pass rusher. They do not have either one of those on the roster right now.
JP, thanks so much for getting up this early. I know you do it for work, but for getting up this early for us, we really appreciate it. Hope all is well.
I'll do it every morning for you guys, man. Anytime. I love getting the text and the call to talk to you guys. Always. So have a great day.
JP, don't say that. This show has very limited budget. I mean, our budget is less than the Bengals scouting budget, JP. So don't offer your services.
Well, I guess we'll stick to once every 3 months.
Thanks, JP.
JP Shadrick. You can follow him on Twitter at JP Shadrick. Pre-halftime post, and he does a bunch of stuff during the week on Jaguars.com. JP Shadrick.
I started thinking, you got me in terms of the draft, and I know we can't do it because it's a morning show.
Right.
The great draft shows that we used to do when we did afternoons.
Right.
Where we would let media people from each market do that. I'm like, we could have JP for that, but we can't do anything West Coast. We'd be done.
Right. We'd probably have to tape it. I mean, it might be something to consider for those that don't know. Maybe the best show that we did in terms of content every year. Our former producer lined up beat people from every single team.
Every team that had a first-round pick. Because sometimes teams wouldn't have a pick.
Right.
I remember we went to, it was Acer was the guy's name from San Diego that we had to go. They had like two, we kept calling him
Kevin
back.
Acey.
Yeah, Acey. We kept calling him back about every hour and a half. All right, Kevin, we got to get you back on the show because you guys got 3 picks this year or something like that.
Right. Like this year, the Eagles have three picks in a span of about 45 minutes. So we'd hear from the same guy a lot. But literally, we would have the beat person make the picks. And they obviously would make it based on information that they've heard and then who has been taken. No trades. Trades. And we would jam it in. We did a 4-hour show then in the afternoon, and we would jam it in the first 3+ hours and keep track of it and make notes also in which, the beat writers would say, well, I understand who I have to take but who they really want is, okay. And we'd kind of put it in parentheses and keep track of it and see how the draft, plays out.
Denver at 9's the first West Coast team that picks. I will say that. There is a possibility here. Seattle gave up their first-round pick. LA gave up their first-round pick. The Chargers don't pick until 17. It could be done.
All right. We'll start working on it. We'll start thinking about it.
That's a baptism of fire for one Felipe.
Oh, I don't know if we can throw that. I don't know if we can go there. About 75 days away. We'll work on it. Maybe we'll bring it up at our lunch meeting today.
That's right. We've got a meeting today.
Yes, we do.
We have a meeting and a poll question today on the show.
What's the poll question, Mark?
Mike McDaniel's the new coach of the Dolphins. Got a 4-year deal. Will he see year 4? Right now, a few more of you are saying no than yes. Very close voting in the 47-53 range right now.
That is close. Means it's a good question, right?
It is.
I think he does. Because I think that they're going to have some semblance of success in 2022. And I do maintain, I think McDaniel outlasts Greer. I think Greer barely held on to his job.
If they improve next year, obviously that would bode very well for Greer.
Sure. But, guys that they've drafted here recently and whoever he brings into the fold this year, they need to produce. Now, I will say, Waddle was terrific. Absolutely terrific.
They've just missed on too many linemen right now, it looks like.
Absolutely. Too many. Hell, name one they've hit on.
Well,
and he's put a lot of resources into that line. There's 2 1s, a 2, and a 3 invested into that line.
It's why I'd love to see McDaniel. That's another hire I'm interested in. Not just who's the offensive coordinator, who's going to be the offensive line coach. Does he have experience somewhere else? Already rumors out there that Fangio is being considered as the D coordinator if he wants the job. I think it would be a great hire. Not a good hire, a great hire.
Well, also look at what it would represent. Vic could go pretty much anywhere he wants. He really could. And there are jobs that are out there. And Vic ultimately chose the 38-year-old assistant who I don't believe he's ever worked with. Because, when Vic was with Harbaugh, that was, McDaniel was not with the Niners then. I don't believe their paths have crossed. Now, but this is where the Shanahan relationship can really help him. He's got both Shanahans who, when assistants that he's reaching out to, they'll call Mike and or Kyle and go, hey, and they go, yeah, you can go work.
And I'm not joking how big I think a Fangio hire would be on the D coordinator. I would change my vote from no to yes on this poll question because it represents 2 things to me, David. It represents an adult, someone who's coached before, so he's got someone to lean on when he's making mistakes or about to make a mistake. And as you mentioned, he's choosing Miami over a lot of other teams. I think that would be monstrous. David Hyde reporting that they're talking today, reported that about 10 or 15 minutes ago.
Matt Cannata, Pro Football Network, coming up at the top of the hour. We will talk about the hire of Mike McDaniel with the Dolphins. It's our poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter. He got a 4-year deal. Will he see year 4? Miller and Moulton. Thanks for being with us, the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. It's fantastic. The morning show from WDAE is out in Radio Row. They're showing like video of it. There's no one there, obviously. Why? Oh, what do we got right now?
We have Matt Cannata.
Yep.
That's right, Klecko. It's Who Day Week. Oh, here's the butt that you were talking about.
Yeah, watch this thing.
Look
Watch
at
this thing. Right?
That was ridiculous. I saw that. And the celly is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Celly makes it better.
Wow.
Right?
For the win.
This
For the
Jaylen
win.
Brown poster. Sit down, Mo Bamba. God, I just want to be able to dunk. Oh!
So FGCU was down 16.
Yeah, this was pretty nasty dunk right here.
Oh.
That's why I said, like, that's
Hey, Philly, FGCU was down 16 late first half and early second half
Yes.
Saturday and went on a 40-8 run.
That was crazy.
40-8.
I checked the score. I was like, you got to be kidding me. We won. And I was like, what?
Went from down 16 to up 16. 40-8.
Anderson played well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit 3 threes during that early in that run.
Yeah.
And then Dunmartin capped off the run by like scoring 11 points in 3 minutes.
Tay.
That was the game.
Hey, TDM.
Because now they come home, they got a 3-game homestand that in theory they could sweep. That was the one they needed. He's got 4 home games left. He wins all 4. It's 19 wins. Fly. He's got 4 home games left. He'll be favored in all 4.
All right, we're
He'll
back
be
at 15.
small
I'm
favorite
calling
in 3
Matt
of the
right
4.
now.
But
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
top of the morning to you, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the final hour in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, and Port Charlotte and Venice. We're just halfway home for those of you in the 239 of Fort Myers and Naples. Thanks so much for being with us here on the Florida Sports Network. Brad Gillie in a little more than a half an hour to talk a little racing. Daytona in less than 2 weeks. They had the class at the Coliseum last night. We'll talk a little racing coming up in a bit. It's a pleasure to welcome back Matt Cannata, ProFootballNetwork.com, Pro Football Network. You can follow Matt on Twitter at Cannata PFN, Cannata 2 N's 1 T PFN. Matt, David, and Mark, once again, how are you?
David and Mark, how you guys doing?
Well, we're great. You and Adam Beasley all over this Dolphins situation in the last 100 plus hours. Take us through this. Was this McDaniel's job to lose? When did it become when did he become the number 1 candidate?
That's a great question. There's a lot of nuances. I've been hearing it on Twitter from some people saying, "Oh, you guys are flip-flopping this and that," but really, it was so nuanced and there were so many dominoes. And to get to your question of when did McDaniel become the favorite, it was after Dable took the Giants job, right? The Dolphins really liked Dable. There were really strong rumblings that they were going to offer him a job if they didn't before he took the Giants job. But what was interesting was that when he was offered the Giants job, the Dolphins didn't make any kind of full court press to try to stop him from taking that job, from what we know. And so while they liked him a lot, they also knew they had another candidate in Mike McDaniel. They had another candidate in Kellen Moore that they were very intrigued by. And I don't think they went into this process thinking that Mike McDaniel was going to be their guy. But something happened in that first interview where he impressed them enough to at least cause a split decision in the room from what we've heard at Pro Football Network, and to then lead us to this next step. There were so many dominoes to this coaching search.
All right, Matt, the one thing that gets both of us, this is now 6 straight assistants that have never been a head coach. Why do you think this works this time when, quite frankly, it hasn't worked yet for Miami?
Yeah, and last time I was with you guys, I said that I preferred a head coach who had a previous head coaching experience, right? Because they can step in on day one and know exactly what they're doing. And there's no precedent or there's no hope that it will work out. I mean, I said this the other day on my Twitter feed. I said I thought Zach Taylor would be fired in 3 years, and I thought Adam Gase was a brilliant hire, right? So it's so hard to understand. But here's what I will say, and I know a lot of fans are talking about this, is that he's never called plays. I don't think you want your head coach focusing on calling plays. Your head coach needs to be a people person. They need to know how to manage, which I think is why we also have seen special teams coordinators like Harbaugh, be successful, because they understand how to manage a team of personalities. McDaniel, he's been in the NFL for, I think it's 15 years. He's seen a lot, and he's been through a lot. And I think he'll have that experience to do so. I'm more excited that he's not calling offensive plays or didn't call offensive plays than for someone who has, because I don't think that makes the mark of a head coach.
Well, Matt, we're in agreement on that. I mean, we view a head coach as a leader of men. And I don't know what calling plays on either side of the ball has to do with that, to be honest.
Right.
So that's what we're looking at. And to go back to the point for those that don't know, Cam Cameron, Tony Sperano, Joe Philbin, Adam Gase, Brian Flores, and now Mike McDaniel, 6 consecutive coordinators or assistant coaches who had never been head coaches before that the Dolphins have hired. Only one of them served 4 full years, and that was the contract that McDaniel was given. He has an interesting resume and personal story, doesn't he, Matt? I mean, he's Yale educated, and yet he nearly ruined his career before he was 30 because he drank too much.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting if you get to know his backstory, right? And so he mentioned he was a Broncos ball boy at one point, and that's where he got his big NFL break, for Mike Shanahan. And he brought McDaniel on as an intern back in 2005. He followed Gary Kubiak to Houston when Kubiak went there to be that coach. But as you just mentioned, alcohol kind of derailed his career there. Not kind of, but it did. And, McDaniel has said that he would party a lot, sleep through his alarm sometimes, and then he got terminated. And then he went to the United Football League. Then Mike Shanahan threw him another lifeline back in 2011, who was coaching the Washington at that time, and brought him back to the NFL as an offensive assistant, and then later as a wide receivers coach. Then he went to the Browns, and then he and Kyle Shanahan joined the Falcons staff, and that's where McDaniels really kind of stopped. Right, he stopped and thought about it and said, "You know what, this is it. I'm going to give up drinking," and that was back in 2016. And then his career took off once he became sober. Followed the Shanahan to San Francisco, run game coordinator, then promoted to OC in 2021. And now he's a Dolphins head coach. It's really an amazing story.
Saw earlier today, and I don't know how much there is there, but that Vic Fangio is being considered, or they want to talk to him about defensive coordinator. And that, again, I think all three of us would have liked to have seen them hire someone who had head coaching experience. But bringing in someone who has head coaching experience as one of your coordinators, to me, that would be a home run hire. Your thoughts on his availability of coordinators, and if he were to get Fangio, how that would work out?
Yeah, there's some different reports on that. And we reported a few weeks back when the Jaguars head coaching search was getting underway that Fangio had preferred to take a year off. Doesn't mean he will, but preferred to. And there's also the reports, and it came out through the interview process as well, that the Dolphins wanted to keep their defensive coaching staff intact, right, led by Josh Boyer, the defensive coordinator. And while they'll probably defer to Mike McDaniel, they also understand that defense is so good. And to have that kind of continuity on that side of the ball with a new head coach coming in is going to be huge for him, right? You're not going to have to learn an entire new system under there. Although, if Fangio is a guy, I don't think anyone's going to deny that Fangio is a total upgrade over Boyer, right? And the kind of system that he would instill. The other thing I like about this too, and Fangio got his shot as NFL head coach. I don't think he'll get another shot to be head coach again. And selfishly, as a Dolphins fan and someone who covers the Dolphins, right, that's promising because Fangio is not going to get lured away through another head coaching job, and he'll be here for several years to put the foundation in place.
Matt Cannata, Pro Football Network. Follow him on Twitter at Cannata, 2 N's, 1 T, PFN, Cannata PFN. You and Adam Beasley detailing this Dolphins situation. And Matt, why was it that they didn't even talk to Doug Peterson, Jim Caldwell? I mean, and they talked to far more assistants than they did people with head coaching experience. I mean, is this a hang up in the organization? What is the thinking behind this?
That's a great question. I think there were lots of people who said Doug Peterson should be the coach to begin with. And he didn't get a lot of interest around the league. And I've said before that there were rumors that he wasn't building a strong staff around him, or at least a strong offensive staff. And I think that was scaring some people away. Jim Caldwell's another one. He was here for the Dolphins for a few weeks back when Brian Flores first started, and then he left. And he didn't get a ton of interest around the league there. So there must be something there, that I'm not really sure about as to why people aren't really talking to Caldwell. Peterson, as we know, got the job in Jacksonville, which I think is a home run hire for them. I'm not sure. We said at the beginning that Chris Greer liked, and we heard that he preferred a second-time head coach, Dan Quinn, Vance Joseph. He was really pushing for it a lot, and I know a lot of Dolphins fans got on me for this, but, it was always Vance Joseph would have been the fallback candidate, and Stephen Ross, the owner, would not have signed off on Vance Joseph unless everyone else declined their offer. And that would have been Dable. We thought Quinn was going to Denver. Everyone was surprised him going back to Dallas. Once Dable was out of the picture, then it was McDaniel. If McDaniel didn't take the job, it would have been more. And then they would have been staring at Vance Joseph if all three of those people declined.
Adam Beasley reported that Brian Flores basically sabotaged Tua every step of the way. I mean, that's a pretty strong statement in his story about the Dolphins. And I guess we're to infer that he never really wanted him.
That is an interesting thought, because we are still trying to see what that happened, and we know that Chris Greer is a guy who's going to defer to his coach. So, but there's also reports that Flores didn't want to, and he preferred Herbert. I'm not really sure. The word we got leading up to that draft, we reported on Pro Football Network, was that everybody in the Dolphins organization, or at least the key decision makers, were on board with drafting Tua. But I think something may have happened along the way, or he realized that Tua wasn't the guy that they thought he was, whether as a person, whether as a football player, or both. And I think some disdain kind of built up along the way there. And it just built a divide in the relationship. And I think a lot of that came through when he was pulling Tua in and out of the game his first year, putting Fitzpatrick in, taking Fitzpatrick out, putting Fitzpatrick in, taking Fitzpatrick out. A lot of trust lost there, and then that you can't handle a young quarterback that way. So the Dolphins went into this interview process with the hope that a new head coach could make it work with Tua, and they targeted candidates in that mindset as well.
All right, a couple of the other jobs. Houston, Brian Flores still in the mix for both Houston and New Orleans, which is just crazy. But what's the latest you hear on the two available jobs that are left?
Houston is crazy. I'll tell you this. We literally had a draft in our WordPress post yesterday, naming Josh McCown the next coach. All expectations were that McCown was going to be the next head coach of the Texans. We had very, very direct sources in the organization who was telling us this. And then all of a sudden last night, we get the news that Lovie Smith is being interviewed and is going to be strongly considered for that job and likely to get that job. Not sure what happened there. That was a complete curveball for us, for a lot of different people. I know everyone, a few people had heard that Jonathan Gannon was out. We had heard the same as well. We didn't report that out of respect to him. Brian Flores has not yet been contacted by the Texans to tell him that he's officially on the running. But it looks like Lovie Smith is the guy. But that was quite a curveball for McCown. If he was offered the job, he would have accepted it. And he thought he was getting the job too.
Well, and John McClain and others have, thought that it was going to be McCown. What I'll be curious about, Matt, is if they go with Lovie, does Lovie bring Josh in as OC? And if you were in line for the head coaching job and didn't get it, would you settle for OC? So that'll be interesting.
It's a little crazy because the Texans offered McCown the job last year and he declined it, and they hired David Culley. So interesting. But for the Saints too, it looks like Dennis Allen's going to get promoted there. It'd be a surprise if he didn't.
I think we all thought that the whole way. Matt, as always, appreciate your time and particularly your insight. Continued success with Pro Football Network.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Mark. Have a great day. Matt
Cannata. Follow him on Twitter, Cannata PFN, 2 N's, 1 T, Cannata PFN. You can follow Pro Football Network also at PFN 365, ProFootballNetwork.com, PFN365.com. They both work.
He's rapidly rising to one of my favorite guests. Great information, great website. They do a really good job.
Yes, they do. And between him and Adam Beasley, they are pretty connected with the Dolphins. And that's always helpful for us here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program
The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, the Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I got you. I'll take him as my D coordinator.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's someone who at least can help a head coach out with, I know he's got the Shanahans to lean on, but they're not answering the phone every minute of every day.
Yeah. Plus, Vic's in his early 60s. He's been there, done that. Oh boy. I will say I picked up 1070 and I picked it up just south of Venice and listened to 1070 all the way to the Caloosahatchee.
Oh, it's...
And actually listened to it to Colonial, but I mean, it's a strong signal. Short segment here.
Oh, wow. I just saw this. I had to see the story. It's just how, on Facebook, how 4-star wide receiver Jeremy Bernard enrolled at Washington, then joined Michigan State a week later. Literally was an early enrollee, lands, and the wide receivers coach says, yeah, I'm going to Oregon.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah, but yeah, the kids can't transfer. Don't let the kids transfer. I do find it funny. When everybody wanted to talk to me at the club this weekend about the Flores suit.
Okay.
Well, because they all have the reasons why it's not racism, and they run to talk to me about it, which I always find fascinating. They asked me if I believe any of it's true. So I believe all of it's true. I said, I don't think they can prove any of it. Then they get mad. Then they tell me why I'm wrong, and we move on with our day. All right, click that follow button. It's all that matters. I'm sure you're already all followers, but if you're not, we'd appreciate the follow. Me in particular.
Debbie, I'm going to need more than 3 months of training. I'm going to need some moon shoes if I want to dunk.
No, just an 8-foot rim.
Oh, stop it. I'll posterize anyone on an 8-foot rim.
Mm-hmm. So the Canada-Russia women's game today, they played 2 periods with their masks on.
Yes, Canada, and we can talk about
Yeah,
it.
but they don't really know. Like, I'm reading the article. And
Okay, so apparently Russia's test results were not in before the game.
Right.
Okay, and Canada was like, well, we're not going to play. And so they said, well, how about we compromise and you both wear masks? So they wore masks.
Strange.
They wore them for 2 periods. That's the best part.
Yeah, see, I hadn't heard that they took them off for the third.
Russia did. I'm trying to get this right.
Right. I thought Canada wore them for all 3.
Both teams played wearing under their helmets to start the third.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes after the hour. Jamming here a little bit with the music. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. The Florida Sports Network. Brad Gillie, PRN Racing. He'll join us in 15 or so minutes. Rubbin is racing. The clash at the Coliseum last night in Los Angeles, and now everybody heading to Daytona, where in 13 days we will have the Great American Race.
New cars, a whole new setup.
Absolutely. I'm excited.
I've already been told Kyle Larson's basically already won
Wait,
the
really?
season this year,
Wow.
according to my sources.
Wow. I didn't.
The whole setup basically
favors him.
Benefits him greatly for how his style of driving. He's already arguably the best driver out there.
Huh.
And this should make him better.
Oh, okay.
That's what I've got, David.
I have to admit, I'm going to miss Jeff Gordon in the booth.
He was terrific.
Yeah.
I learned. And I'm not, we always talk about Madden being the first real teacher in the booth. Well, I'm not a NASCAR guy. When I was watching races with Jeff Gordon calling them, I felt as if I was getting educated.
Tony Stewart's going to do Daytona and a few others.
And if you don't like the way he calls it, he might just run you over.
Oh, stop it. Danica, I believe, is doing a few races.
Oh, well, she knows how to crash into people, too.
I will say she does know her way around Daytona and Talladega, though. All right. She was good when it was fast. The faster it was, the better she was.
So I'll watch. I'll give it. I've turned into a little bit of a NASCAR viewer. I'm not a fan, a viewer.
Right. Well, and your son's a big fan. It gives, you talk to him about it. Right.
And my daughter, just with the M&M car, she roots for the guy that everybody hates.
Right. Right. Kyle Busch. Yep. Who finished second in the Clash.
But it's amazing. Now she's 7, but at 6, I could put a NASCAR race on. She sits right down. She knows who my son likes, and she knows who she likes. So she's trying to figure out whether her car's ahead of Jake's car.
Did you break the news to her? This is the last year of the M&Ms?
No.
Okay. I'm letting you know. You can plan accordingly. Don't know how you want to break this to her. Maybe you wait till October, November and go, honey. Yeah, no. They said we're done after this year. I mean,
no more M&Ms.
It ain't cheap.
No, it was in March, because they had the Skittles sometimes and the M&M cards.
Yeah. And I mean, it's 8 figures, and first digit can be crooked. I mean, it's a lot of money to be on those cars in that kind of way. And they said, no, after 2022, we're done. And I will say, Kyle Busch and them, they praised them up and down. They gave interviews, sent releases, said, greatest partner ever. We understand business decisions, and Kyle Busch even said it'll be an honor to run 36 more races for them. So, and you don't often see that.
Right. I was going to say, he doesn't feel like it's an honor to do anything unless it's something about him.
Top 5 candy of all time.
Oh boy, don't detour the show now.
See, now that's a really bold statement, because I don't even know if it's a top 5 chocolate. If it is, it's going to come in 5th.
Okay.
You've got your Snickers.
Peanut.
That's going to be ahead of it. Your Snickers is ahead of it.
Okay.
Well, first off, you can have the whole debate as to regular M&Ms or peanut M&Ms. Like, I mean, I'm a regular M&Ms guy.
I am too. I prefer a regular M&M over. I like them both, but I prefer the regular.
Right. I like them both. I prefer peanut.
Okay.
But your Reese's is ahead of an M&M.
I believe so, yes.
Your Kit Kat.
Yeah, absolutely. Not even close.
Kit Kat, yeah.
Okay, so there's three.
So there's three, and we haven't even broken into candies yet. So it's not a top candy. It's a top 5 candy.
It contends for a medal, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
But probably doesn't win one.
It contends for a bronze, depending on your point of view.
It would need that chiffer there to fall.
Well, that can happen.
Right.
That can happen. Snickers can come out of the gate too fast, miss a turn.
And I'd tell you right now, a whatchamacall, it's better.
I've never had that.
That's
underrated.
on you.
It's underrated. Give it a shot.
$100,000 is better than M&Ms.
Oh, boy.
Right now.
It's interesting. I may have to just start sampling a few. It's been a while. Hey, speaking of the Olympics, did you see what happened here in the last 12 or so hours?
I did. There was a bigger hockey game for the women. The only one that really matters is when the U.S. and Canada play.
And they play next. I think they play tomorrow.
Correct.
In the preliminaries, and that'll just determine who finishes, ahead of the other. And, in theory, the loser will have a tougher draw to get to the gold medal game.
Which is a joke because there isn't such a thing. But Russia and Canada played this morning, and the COVID tests had not yet come back. They've been testing these athletes sometimes twice a day.
Hadn't come back. My understanding was hadn't come back for Russia.
Right. So both teams skate their warm-up.
Right.
Russia comes out to start the game.
Canada's like, well, what's the deal?
And Canada's not coming out.
Right.
Period.
They're like, hold on a second. Are they free and clear of COVID? I mean, are we okay playing or what?
And they didn't know. They never had the test. So the two teams decided they would play with masks on.
Well, yeah, because Canada said, we're not going to take their word on it. Sorry. I mean, you guys are the ones with the strict. I mean, if we start testing positive, I mean, not only the fact could it cost us a gold medal, we got to stay here like an extra month.
So the two teams wore masks for the first 2 periods. The tests come back apparently between the second and third, or sometime before the start of the third, because the Russian players then took the masks off for the third. Canada said, we've played 40 with masks. Why not just play the final period with the masks on?
Yeah, I don't even know if if they came back the test results, or if Russia, because they were down 3-0, said we're taking the masks off, this is affecting our performance, whatever it was. But you're right. Canada just said, this is awkward, but it's working. We'll just stay with it. Here's my thing. I mean, apparently they were wearing like the N95s,
right.
And everybody's wearing a shield and a mask, right? Or just a mask?
Probably a lot of cages for the gals.
Okay.
Now, I mean, because I know what you're saying, airflow and getting steamed up. And
yeah, I mean, we've all experienced if we wear glasses and what have you, and all of a sudden things fog up.
And if you're wearing one of those iTech shields, that I'm sure have been a mess. If you're wearing just a cage, and I just know, look, I never played any high-level hockey. But as I've said many a time, David, I run hot. Those shields, when you wear the plastic shield, it's much, much, much warmer than those that just wear the full cage. I mean, there's a big difference. So you're actually onto something there.
But Canada won. But yes, I'm sure that had to be odd to see. It's like, hold on a second. Are they playing hockey wearing masks? Yeah. Yeah, they were. The U.S. just had a male figure skater test positive for COVID. He's a serious medal contender. They still think there's time for him to compete because their thing doesn't start here for a little while?
Yes. I guess so, David. And by the way, confirmed it over the weekend. My wife even admitted she's a horrible Olympics fan, has no buzz for,
listen, if your wife's not into it, then, I mean, I will say their opening ceremonies numbers where it was like 15, 16 million. It was down 7 million from what it was the last time. Their first night's coverage did less than 8 million viewers. I mean, basically their first night of the Olympics did the Pro Bowl. I mean, they're used to getting 25 million people a night. And I know they go to Europe next time. That's a better deal in terms of the time difference. And then the summer games in 2028 are in Los Angeles. Hopefully by then they'll have the asphalt gone at the Coliseum and what have you. But I do think going forward, NBC's got the contract through 2032. I don't believe the 2032 Olympic site has been announced yet. If it has, I missed it. I thought LA was the last one in 2028. But Mark, going forward, if you're NBC, these last two Olympic numbers are frightening.
Yeah, and I'm guessing the IOC is not going to let them out of their contracts.
Well, they're definitely not. But going forward, if you're NBC or any other network, you may be like, yeah, we ain't paying what we paid in the past. That ain't happening. Now, what we don't know is, the Olympics are on Peacock. They're everywhere.
Yeah. What are the streaming numbers?
Right.
What are they doing? How's it? Because people, now that we've moved to this era of technology, people do not handle watching things on tape delay. Right. Not when I can press two buttons and theoretically watch everything live.
Exactly. And so how many people are watching? Because also, obviously, streaming numbers, they can make more money. And you would think Amazon's kind of curious as to what Peacock's numbers are. They're going to do this NFL thing in September. You would think Apple TV's paying a little bit of attention as to how the whole streaming's going.
And everybody already up in arms because Amazon Prime upped their subscription rates by $20.
Yes.
No blank.
Yeah. We have the NFL coming.
Lucky it's only 20.
Come on. Like you didn't see that coming. They're paying over $1 billion for 14 or 15 NFL games. They're basically paying $70 million a game. Think about that in the fall. If you watch a Thursday night football game on Amazon, realize they paid $70 million just to turn the lights on.
I am so fascinated by this whole adventure that Amazon, because what's the whole thing of streaming? What do you not get when you stream? Commercials.
Right.
What's the whole money-making part of pro sports? Commercials. So I am just, everything about this Thursday night venture, I am fascinated by.
Mark, you're still getting commercials.
I understand that, but not, maybe not in the traditional sense. You do when you stream a sporting event, but when you get you don't go on Netflix or Amazon Prime to watch commercials, Felipe.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I get what you're saying.
I understand that sports are different, but Amazon's never done sports. I've been selling sports my whole life. I'm 52. The only industry I've worked in is professional sports and sports talk radio. Mm-hmm. So I've sold advertising for everything out there, from minor league teams to the naming rights of the arena that's 2 miles away from us, with two commas, and the first number was crooked. So I've done little tiny deals for radio, and I've done some pretty big deals. I am fascinated by a company who's never entered into this realm, having to sell numbers that we don't know what they are.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Everything about this fascinates me, and I geek out on this a little bit because it's TV and technology coming together. So I know I'm not the normal person here, but I'm fascinated by what Amazon's going to do.
Brad Gillie, PRN, talking a little NASCAR, not just the Clash at the Coliseum, but also Daytona coming up in less than 2 weeks. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening, Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Every other year in the past 22 years, the Dolphins have had a new head coach.
You're including all the interims.
I'm saying on average.
You're including all the interims, though.
Yeah. 11 coaches since 2000.
It's really 8.
Who's he? Who's
PRN.
Who was fired midseason?
Well, Wanstead was. Philbin was.
I wonder if it's PRN.
Performance Racing Network.
Yeah, I know.
Wanstead resigned midseason 04.
Oh, Kyrie. That's nice. Might be watching him on Saturday. What a pass. I mean, have you ever seen a big man move the ball the way Jokic has?
Yeah. It's called Bill Walton.
Billy boy.
Oh my God.
Probably the best passing big man who ever lived. Bill
Nope.
Walton.
Really?
Check it out. Check it out. Also, I think Todd Bowles finished for Sperano. Sperano got fired late in his 4th season. So Wanstead midseason, Sperano near the very end of his 4th year, and Philbin got let go about a third of the way through his 4th year.
Bill Walton averaged 19, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists the year that he won MVP. 2.5 blocks per game, too. That's pretty damn good.
Or the knees when he was something, man.
He got injured the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and his feet, man, he had all the foot surgeries.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, if you look up 86 Celtics highlights.
Oh, yeah.
Because in the last 5 years of his career, he was healthy for 1 year, and it was on the 86 Celtics.
He was a 6-man of a championship team.
Just
Of
like
a dynasty.
Just like Bob McAdoo the year before with the Lakers.
It's crazy how they turned McHale into a 6-man, too.
Well, he started as a 6-man.
Oh, he started as a
because Cedric Maxwell started and McHale came off the bench.
Right, they had Cedric Maxwell. Man, the Celtics were just so stacked. And they drafted Len Bias on top of all of that.
You know, had McAdoo on the show a couple times way back when, before we got together. I was just solo.
Brad's on hold. We're back in 10. Hey, Bob McAdoo is a coach for the Heat.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Brad Gillie covers NASCAR, PRN, Performance Racing Network. Also, you can hear him on SiriusXM's NASCAR channel. It's channel 90 in my car. Follow Brad on Twitter, Brad Gillie, Gillie. Brad, it's David and Mark. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are y'all doing?
Well, we're doing well. So what'd you think? They tried something new, put a lot of time and effort into it, and, brought in some stars, Gordon Light in the Cauldron. What'd you think?
I thought it was really, really good. It's funny, leading up to this event, there were so many, whenever you hear about something new and a new idea, how are you going to do that comes into play. And, oh my gosh, how are you going to race these big, heavy 3,500-pound stock cars on a quarter-mile racetrack, which is literally the size of a running track around a high school football field. And you go back and look at it and you think, well, there are quarter-mile tracks where they run big cars all around the country, week in and week out. How are you going to be able to do this? This is the debut of NASCAR's brand new race car. Do you really want to put it on this big of a stage? Well, you got to put it out there sometime, and they've been building race cars for decades. I actually thought the event was really good. It wasn't like a huge wreck fest, and at the same time, there was plenty of action out there on the racetrack, drivers getting pretty aggressive with each other, tempers flaring, and I think as a whole, the event just went off kind of like it should. It wasn't like over dramatic. I don't think it was under dramatic. I think it was just simply a good event that happened to have a really good race with it as well.
Brad, good enough that NASCAR looks to do this again, who knows where this time, but some other iconic, the LA Coliseum is as iconic of a venue as there is. Do you think NASCAR had enough success that they would try to do this in another great venue in another part of the country?
Yeah, I think so. Actually, last night I had the opportunity to talk to Ben Kennedy, who was actually the fourth generation of the France family, the founders of NASCAR. And originally, they had actually looked to do this at Soldier Field in Chicago because way back in the 50s, NASCAR had raced at Soldier Field, and they were kind of looking for that throwback. It didn't work, so the LA Coliseum happened, and I think that was a better thing. But they have talked about potentially doing this not only at other big stadium-type venues that might be able to accommodate a track at least big enough to race, but potentially even taking this event international. Maybe there's something that happens at a Wembley Stadium or something like that. So I think once they sort of digest and break down what worked, what didn't work, obviously the financials of everything, I do have a feeling that we're going to find out. Maybe we go back to LA Coliseum next year again for the Clash, but maybe in the future this event gets moved around to a lot of iconic sporting venues.
Is there any way to judge how the new cars performed on a quarter-mile track? And it is, ridiculous in one sense, amazing in another, that we're going to go from quarter-mile asphalt to 2.5-mile Daytona, and that's what these cars are going to run on their first two times. But is there any way to judge how the new car performed?
So a couple of things stood out to me. Number one, there were a couple of parts failures. And as crazy as it sounds, a small quarter-mile track, it was actually really hard on a lot of the equipment. Like Chase Briscoe had the rear transaxle break on him. This is a new part, new to this race car. But he was also shifting, which a lot of people weren't doing. And they were, pretty hard on the gas, off the gas, on the gas, off the gas. If you actually went back and looked, there are vents in the hood that are normally covered up by some louvers that some of the teams took off because they were worried about overheating issues. I think those are things that they're going to have to go back and look at and figure out what that is. But on the flip side, you take the race-winning driver, Joey Logano. He was awful in Saturday practice. He was like 24th, 25th, not even fast enough to make it into the final show, but they were able to work on their car and make the right changes and turn it into a race-winning car. And there were several teams that happened to. And to me, that was the more interesting thing, that they ended up having a car that was very workable and one that they could make changes to that made a huge difference.
So no real concerns about the mechanical failures from the Clash heading to Daytona?
I don't think so at this point, no, because again, people have a tendency to look at, so-and-so had a parts failure. Well, guess what? There were 35 other cars out there that didn't, but I'm sure they're going to go back and digest it and look at it. And again, this track is unique. Even though it's the slowest place where they're going to race, there were a lot of things that were harder on the equipment than what they'll see in 2 weeks at Daytona, in 3 weeks at California, in 4 weeks at Las Vegas. So as we go on, there are going to be things that will get learned about this car that probably need to be modified, adjusted, whatever. But it wasn't like massive parts failures of the same type of thing. It was a one here, a one there kind of deal.
Talking NASCAR with Brad Gillie, PRN, Performance Racing Network, also SiriusXM's NASCAR channel. You can follow Brad on Twitter at Brad Gillie, Gillie.
Brad, I am a casual NASCAR observer. My son is a full-on gearhead and just flat out told me when the new car came out, he goes, this isn't even fair. Kyle Larson's already the best driver. These cars give him even more of an advantage. Is he on to something there with that statement?
You know what? I don't know that anyone has any more or less of an advantage with this race car. I think what we're going to see, though, are the people who have like super skills at a certain type of racetrack, say road course drivers, probably actually stand out even more in this car because this car has better brakes. It's got different acceleration. You know, it's designed more like something like that. You know, if you look at a driver who might be good at a Daytona, Talladega type of racetrack, you know, this might actually play into their hands just because of some of the skills that they have. But I don't know that right now, at least I'm looking at any one driver and saying, oh, they've got just such a massive advantage. I mean, you know, this car is built similar to what the V8 supercars they race in Australia are. And Martin Truex Jr.'s crew chief used to actually work in V8 supercars and won a championship. And he was one of the worst drivers out there yesterday. So I don't know that yet it plays into anyone's specific strength. I do think it will shine on a road course, though, for certain people.
From what you're able to gather, and obviously NASCAR went to the teams, went to the drivers, you know, this has been a collaborative effort to come up with the next gen car. Early returns are what?
I think the early returns are the cars looked great. They raced great. They were able to go out there and get really physical with the race cars and kind of beat each other up without actually destroying the performance of the race car with what they had on the steel bodies last year. And I think, again, just the initial outing of this car, it was a success. But again, you know, we don't race this type of track anywhere else throughout the rest of the season. So it will continue to be measured as we move on and on and on throughout different styles of racetrack throughout the year.
All right, let's talk Daytona. What are your thoughts as they will fly today?
I can't wait for it. And I can't wait for Daytona, not because of what happened yesterday at the LA Coliseum. I can't wait for Daytona based on what we saw in the test that they had about a month ago. And they went out there with about 16, 18 cars, and all of a sudden you thought they were racing for the biggest trophy of the year, and they were just practicing, knowing that they only had like one or two other cars sitting in their race shop, that if they destroyed this one, you know, they were going to kind of put themselves behind a little bit. What we saw in practice, at least, tells me that what we can see coming up on February 20th with the Daytona 500 could potentially be some of the most compelling racing that we've seen there in a long, long time. And I'm very excited about that. I think the cars look great, the way they move the number toward the front of the race car, which allows a bigger billboard for the sponsor. The new body styles look fantastic. And it seems like, you know, any kind of angst that people had has calmed down just a little bit as far as rolling out a brand new, completely new race car.
Brad, we appreciate your time and your insight. Hopefully we can do this again.
Yeah, that sounds great. Always great talking to you.
Brad Gillie, PRN, Performance Racing Network, and the SiriusXM NASCAR channel, Channel 90 in my car. Follow him on Twitter at Brad Gillie. Morning drive, baby. Morning drive.
Been listening to NASCAR radio, huh?
Little bit. Racing season's on.
You were so close to Daytona over the weekend, you couldn't help yourself, could you?
I've never been to the 500. We're going next year. I'm telling you, if this little operation here can keep on keeping on, all right? Because
so we're doing the Super Bowl and the 500 next year is what you're telling me?
We are. Well, Fox has got both. I'm calling in every damn chip I got. I can get us credentials. I can get us rooms. I think we should do it.
I've never been to a NASCAR race.
Not one?
Never.
You never went to Homestead?
No.
Huh.
I've been to Homestead.
I mean, I had to go to Homestead for work to do a show in the morning when I was in the parking lot while they were racing trucks, and I had to. Like, I was told, you lose your job if you don't go.
That was true. That was,
and it was
quite the experience.
painful.
Right. Yeah. So
But
sitting in a parking lot by yourself. Right.
Doing 3 hours of morning radio.
Right.
With every once in a while.
And it's behind you.
Uh-huh.
Also.
And I couldn't even see it.
Right. Very quickly, Felipe, did you like it?
Yeah. It was really, really loud.
There you go.
Really, really loud.
There you go.
Like, I couldn't even believe how loud it was.
Yes.
I went to an Indy race as a kid, the Michigan 500 or whatever that was.
Sure.
And there was a stock car race before that, but I
Yes.
couldn't tell you if it was a NASCAR. I mean, I was
Michigan,
really young.
Pocono, many of those places had both NASCAR and IndyCar races in the 70s and 80s on the same track.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say one thing that was cool about Homestead was the air show at the beginning because it's right next to an air base.
There you go. They lost
Cars,
their...
not so much, but
right.
the
Well,
air show was
it was
really
loud and the planes were cute. Okay.
I wanted to be a pilot until I was 13.
And that was so long ago.
cool. Right. That was last week.
Miller Mall. I think everybody should go if they get a chance, even if they're not a race fan. I think everybody should go to a race. Quite frankly, like the St. Pete Grand Prix. I mean, if you've never been, and a road course is different than an oval, obviously they're not going as fast. But I mean, if you appreciate sport, if you're not just a football fan, all I care about is football. Football season's ending on Sunday. I don't really care. When's free agency start? Well, then you're not going to appreciate it. What'd you think of that impression? By
That
the
was
way?
good.
Was that solid?
That was
that workable?
That was really good. I think you could call in the Feinbaum show with that.
But I think everyone should go. And what Felipe said is one of the first things that you will notice. You're like, oh, man, these cars are loud. Yeah, a little bit of horsepower going on here. And there's 20, 30, 40 of them, depending on which kind of race you go.
Picture this. They give out earplugs or earplugs.
Yep.
Earplugs.
Listen, Felipe, we're old enough to remember when they used to give out smokes.
I mean, the Winston Cup did
Right.
give out Winstons.
Yes, they did. By the carton. They'd hand you some tracks, they'd just hand you a carton. Here you go. Oh, thanks a lot. I don't smoke. I'll pass these out.
Somebody I know does.
Right.
Let me ask you something. Back then, you had to have known that it was bad for you.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Because they used to promote, I don't know.
Felipe, yes.
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 We
people
knew.
know-
And we still did.
just like food and drink, people know a lot of things are bad for them, but they still do them anyway. It's free choice.
I'm going back too much in time because
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Way before you were even thought of. Way before even when your parents were thinking
you
of
guys
each
aren't,
other, actually.
you guys aren't that old.
No, actually, we are.
We are.
And you're that young.
There's no doubt.
That's certainly on display here in these last few moments. No question about that. But yeah, I'm geeked up, actually. I will miss Gordon in the booth, though, and I do think that the television product is very important to every sport. All right. It is important to me who that third person is going to be eventually. Like, I think Tony Stewart should be terrific for the 500, but he's not doing it full time. He's doing a handful of races. You know, the broadcast is important. You need it to be good.
Think about it, and I know the NBA does just fine, but the TNT show has done more to promote that league than any of their game broadcasts.
Right.
Because they've got that show right. People, you don't have to love basketball to watch that half hour, get everything you need to know about the NBA and be entertained.
Right. Pre-half and post. If that's your NBA season, you'd be all right.
Absolutely. It's more of mine than games, at least in the regular season.
Miller and Moulton. For those of you listening, Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice, well, I mean, we're done for the day. Hope you appreciated the effort. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Pat Kerwin will join us live from the Super Bowl.
Really?
That's what I'm led to believe.
So he's setting an alarm for us?
It'll be 5:30 a.m. Pat's old. You know, he just got there yesterday. I don't think he's quite on West Coast time yet. That's what he said.
No guarantees for Friday is all I'm telling you right now.
no.
Tuesday, I think we can get him. Friday,
Don't know.
We'll see.
Right. Miller and Moulton. The bonus hour is coming up next in Fort Myers and Naples. Mike McDaniel, the new coach of the Dolphins. Doug Peterson, the new coach of the Jags. More thoughts on that on the other side. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Was somebody asking for this, or are you just doing it?
That's it. That's all I'm contributing for today.
I guess just he's channeling his inner Mac Jones over there. Grandbaby's okay. Yeah, got to see her from Friday afternoon to about midday yesterday. So I have to admit, Bill Cosby, can't laugh about Bill Cosby anymore, but Bill Cosby used to do a bit about babies and about how they all look like lizards. All right. They all need to go back in the microwave for a little bit because they're not done yet. And she's really small, but I have to admit, she looks solid. Looks all right. Looks as if she doesn't need any more cooking.
Hang on, here's my question for you. There we go. Thank you, Go Gators.
Yes, the missus did come back from Jacksonville. I think it might be just to do laundry and regroup. My guess is she'll be back before the month is over. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, so they had this Eagles, they hired this Eagles cover band. They were actually pretty darn good. And the singer,
you're talking about at your club.
Yeah, and the singer, they were not cheap. The singer was also the drummer. I mean, did the Henley thing full on and was good.
Cool.
Is that where you encountered the hot dog?
The hot dog was after the golf yesterday. It was our post-tournament meal. Gotcha. There was fried chicken, hamburgers, and hot dogs. And the guy next to me got a hot dog, and he just put ketchup on it. And I asked him how old he was. He said 39. He said, "You sure you're not 9?"
You're so disrespectful.
I took a picture of it, tweeted it out, and showed him what I was posting.
know.
I showed that to him.
By the way, someone responded to your tweet. I respectfully disagree, and I liked his tweet.
Yeah, it's a buddy of mine, Chris Jones. That's why I looked at him. I go, that's right. You eat that crappy Cincinnati chili, so you have an excuse. I can't pick a team to win the Super Bowl that has that chili.
Oh, so go Rams.
Wow. Never realized the determining factor for
it's the only factor.
Skyline chili.
Okay, no disrespect to Cincinnati, but what do you do there?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? Cincinnati's a mid-sized market. It's a good city.
I've never, I don't know. Never really been in that area also.
I mean, you're on a river. You got bars up and down the river.
It's true, they are on a river, yeah.
You go across to Kentucky, you got gambling out the wazoo because you got horse racing there. Cincinnati, there's nothing wrong with Cincinnati. I mean, they definitely have had their race issues over the past 15 years, but there's
30. Putting the mortgage on the Bengals. Last 17 Super Bowls, teams that wear white are 14-3.
Rams are wearing white.
Yes, they are. I love that the Bengals are wearing black, though. Great uniforms. Five seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Minute and a half after the top of the hour, the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. About 35 minutes away from the good, bad, and ugly. Today was the day when, what's on tap, all that good stuff, and some final thoughts. We've had a lot of thoughts about the Jags and the Dolphins hiring new coaches since we last were on the air. The Jags did it late Friday night and introduced Doug Peterson to everyone in the greater Jacksonville area on Saturday. Peterson and a revamped front office, a fortified front office. Trent Baalke will not be by himself anymore. I think one wonders, is this the beginning of the end for Trent Baalke, or whether or not Mr. Khan's actually going to just bring in a Rick Spielman or somebody like that and put him above Trent Baalke, and Baalke's still going to survive.
I like that they used the term fortify the front office. Are they being attacked by the Bucs and the Dolphins? Is there some sort of outside attack coming that you need to fortify your front office?
Well, Mark, based on their record the last couple of years, I think they're being attacked by the rest of the league.
Well, and maybe they were just being attacked from within, David. That's why they need to fortify. I just think it's an interesting. I love the word choice. Let's make it more like we're going to war.
Right.
We're hiring more people because we don't have enough here. We've looked around the rest of the league and decided that, you know what, 3 people in a scouting staff's not enough, even though the Bengals are in the Super Bowl.
Yes, they are. Joe Burrow proving a lot of things wrong. There's no question about it. I was thinking about it over the weekend, and I know we'll get far more into the game as the week goes on. 200-1 underdog, though, at the start of the season. I mean, Mark, you and I look at this stuff. We talk about this stuff before seasons start. The odds are, and, you look for, man, can I get somebody at 14-1? Can I get a 20-25-1 shot to take, like the Tennessee Titans were around 25 or 30-1, and you and I were both like, you got to throw a few shekels on that.
Well, I thought the Rams had a pretty good number, too. The Rams were 1. They had Stafford, so that was another number that you looked at, and you went, okay, this would be a good value play.
Yeah, 200-1. And here they are, man. I mean, only a 4-point dog.
Right.
Let's go out there.
And everybody harping on the year of the Tiger. It's got to be the year for the Bengals.
All right. You can be honest. It's just us here. How much into that stuff? When you hear stuff like that, does it make you think? Or do you go, come on?
Of course it did. Of course it did. I mean, what are there, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 of the different Chinese New Years that they come up with, the snake and the rat and all that,
Right.
the monkey and the rooster. So I saw it and I'm like, well,
I'll be damned.
That's interesting.
Hey, speaking of Super Bowls, though, I will do this. There's a lot of talk about, we just went through in the AFC a magical era of Brady, Peyton Manning, and Ben Roethlisberger. And now are we at the beginning of a next great era of Mahomes, Burrow, and everybody's still really high on Justin Herbert.
Well, and Allen, too.
And Josh Allen. So maybe it's Allen instead of Herbert.
Yeah.
Throw in Lamar. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's going to be more than 3. Maybe it's going to be 4. Maybe it's going to be 5. But to show you, and I know we all know this, but I don't think, because, we have lives, we don't take the time to actually spell it out. I mean, Mark, this, I think, will be the beginning of the new era. Some may say it started 2 years ago with Mahomes going to back-to-back Super Bowls. But from 2001, and take Brady's Tampa Bay Super Bowl out of it, just in the AFC, for 18 years, from 2001 through 2018, I believe some combination of Brady, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger was in 16 of the 18 Super Bowls. Only the 2002 Bucs Raiders, Rich Gannon was the AFC quarterback, and the Harbaugh Bowl,
right,
when it was Joe Flacco for the AFC. Every other Super Bowl from 2001 through the 2018 Super Bowl all had some combination of those 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. And one, maybe 15, 20 years from now, we might start with the 2019 Super Bowl, which is Mahomes. And so think about it. We've now gone Mahomes, Burrow. And when we talk about what we think is going to happen in the future, who are we talking about?
We're talking about Mahomes, Burrow, and Allen.
Right.
And that's why I say Allen over Herbert, because I think everybody thinks what Buffalo is doing, the path that they're on.
Oh,
and besides, who's going to trust the damn Chargers?
Yes, they have lost our trust, and deservedly so. But
you want to talk about a franchise that is dead to me? I lost too much money and spent too many picks on this show trying to back the damn Chargers. Done.
But it is interesting that for a full generation, because the other thing is, Peyton, he took the Colts twice. He took Denver twice. So, that's why you keep looking around. You're like, oh, yeah, that's Peyton with the other team.
Which is why, and I know players don't think that way. And I know that if the Packers do trade Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be an AFC team. I get it. You sure you don't want to stay in Green Bay? Because I can virtually guarantee you're going to be in the NFC Championship game next year.
But that is another reason why, when you look at, really, you could argue they've underperformed.
Oh, yes.
When we've just detailed how an entire conference for a generation, that the 3 Hall of Fame, great, unquestionably the 3 best quarterbacks in the conference for that generation. Well, they dominated the damn conference. They took their teams and said, well, let's go. We're going to play in the final game.
And we had a Kaepernick on the other side. We had a Kaepernick. We had a Jared Goff. I mean, look at the quarterbacks in the NFC. They're just a rotating list of.
Well, like Chiclets,
yes,
Skittles. And then, but yet we've had Rodgers the whole time. Before him, we had Favre the whole time.
Right.
And yet you start to go, well, if they were in the other conference, they get to the big game. Why are you guys not getting to the big game? Who was standing in your way this whole time? I mean, they had to all go through each other. They all knew it. The start of the year. I mean, you really want to bore. Think about, how many times 2 of those 3 played each other in the conference championship game.
Well, and they all played in the regular season most every year because they were winning divisions every year.
Which is another reason, I'll say it again. And I know he's forgotten, and the future is very much unknown, and maybe he doesn't deserve another chance in the whole deal. If I'm running an NFC team and I need a quarterback, we got to have a long, mature talk about Deshaun Watson, no matter how ugly it is. And you know my feelings on this.
Right.
Okay. He's a no for me for the reasons why he's in trouble. But from a football standpoint, this conference is so damn ripe for the picking. I mean, think about it. We had Rodgers. He went to 1. We had Breeze. He went to 1.
And I know while all of you try to think the Cowboys are really a good football team, I'm not one of those people. They're better, but they proved it. They can beat their division and no one else. So you look at the NFC East right now. Okay, Dallas is the best team, but they proved that they're not a formidable contender right now.
Well, they were 6-6 against the rest of the league that wasn't named the NFC East. So heading into next year,
we have 4 new quarterbacks in the South. We have 3 new quarterbacks and Matt Ryan in the South. We might have 3 new quarterbacks in the North. Well, I guess Goff will play next year. And Cousins is going to be in Minnesota. But you could have a new quarterback in Green Bay. I mean, it is bizarro land.
But it's also remarkable how the 2 or 3 teams that had elite quarterbacks, Breeze with the Saints, Rodgers with the Packers, and for a decade, Russell Wilson in Seattle. I mean, they're the only one of the 3 teams that actually went to the game twice. And they haven't been back in 7 years. I mean, it's remarkable how it's clear as damn day in the AFC. All right. Where are the elite quarterbacks? Well, one of those 2, 3, 4 teams is going to play in the Super Bowl.
But you do have to admit it's clear as day as we've now established Joe Burrow as the third, because we did just point out they were 200-1 to get to win this game when the season started.
And they still can't block for him.
No.
I mean, he got sacked more than any other quarterback in the league, and he sat out the season finale.
He got sacked 9 times in a playoff game, David, and won.
Right. I mean, you add up the sacks, I think it was 3, 9, and 1. I think he's been sacked 13 times in the playoffs to go with 50. He's been sacked 64 times. That's just sacked. Doesn't count hits. Now, he does bring some of it on himself. He admits, hey, I hold on to the ball. We got receivers. I'm trying to hold in there, hang in there, and make the big play. But I just thought it was an interesting stat. The 200-1, I honestly think it's being underplayed. 200-1. I mean, this is Sacramento Kings odds, okay? I mean, this really is. This was damn near Detroit Pistons odds at the beginning of the year. But it really was. It was Sacramento Kings odds to win the NBA championship, 200-1. It's laughable.
They were supposed to be in 4th place in their division. I mean, that is the fact.
Yes.
Some semblance of Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland were going to be on top of that division.
They all made the playoffs last year, for goodness sakes. Yeah.
Absolutely remarkable.
And then how it's so funny how different, it's like East versus West in hockey and basketball, how the conferences can just end up being so different from one another, and how radically different, Mark, the NFC and the AFC has turned out to be now for a generation.
You and I don't do a lot of NBA on this show, but come on. We've talked about it forever. The NBA with the East was unwatchable for 5-6 years. When LeBron left, it was damn near unwatchable in the East.
And now
the East might be better.
I don't think there's any might about it.
Yeah, I think it's.
Yeah.
I think the East is
The East
better.
is terrific.
Hell, the 9th seed is 5.5 games away from the 1 seed. The 9th seed.
Well, not only that, just more teams above 500.
Well, that's what I'm looking
and
at.
how they actually
I don't care
comparing
first to fifth.
against each other. The West used to dominate against the East, and that's not the case this year. But it is fascinating from a quarterback standpoint. We had the golden era, and you could argue the second era has already begun with Mahomes, Burrow.
Well, and as we've talked about, the emphasis on the position, more people playing the 7-on-7s and all these things. I don't think we're going to run into a shortage of quarterbacks anytime soon.
And how it would truly be shocking to you, right? For a team to make the Super Bowl out of the AFC that is not quarterbacked by one of the 3, 4,
5 guys, throw Lamar in there right now.
And that's it. I was going to throw Lamar in and wonder whether to throw Herbert in because we're done with the Chargers until proven otherwise. I mean, the Chargers and the Cowboys should both be pushed to the side.
100%.
I mean, come on. Sorry, guys.
Prove something to us, and then we'll talk.
Win a playoff game. Call me back.
In the Chargers case, get to the playoffs.
Miller and Moulton, 14 minutes past the hour. Thanks for listening, Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I just got an email from FGCU that the plot of land in between the main entrance of campus and the north entrance of campus, they've gotten the okay to tear all 12 acres of that for future development.
Okay, where is this again?
So
just say it again.
Between the main entrance of campus
okay,
and
with
north,
the big white Florida Gulf Coast University that's lit up.
yes,
Okay, from there
to the north entrance of campus,
which is where you go the back way. So that whole stretch along Ben Hill Griffin.
Where they've got all the solar stuff too, don't they?
Yes, they're tearing all 12 acres of that for future development. Football stadium, please. That's never gonna happen.
Why would you want that?
What, a football stadium?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Football team.
Why?
Why?
What do you mean? Why? It's football.
Why?
Because football brings money.
No, football costs money.
It costs money. Yes.
Football,
but-
they that would break that university.
really
They wouldn't be any good. What level do you want to play?
the FCS.
Okay, that's
Well, there you
65
talking.
scholarships. So what women's sports are you adding? Or what men's sports are you canceling? Because you got to have equal number of scholarships to
Right.
men and women. So that's
Right.
65 scholarships on the women's side. You got to add 3 sports
So
minimum.
I either have to add.
Four
Add.
4 minimum. You have to have 4 women's sports. So that's now to bring football in, you got to bring 5 sports in. That's coaches for all 4 women's sports. That's $1 million just on the women's side alone. And probably $100 million on the football side.
Rowing.
But you need $100 million on the football side to start too. $100 million.
Well,
As if there aren't enough rich people with this.
They've never been able to get one.
Damn it! Come on.
I'm sorry, that's not true. What's his name there? Your buddy, what's his name? Butch. Butch has gotten 3. 3 in 20 years.
okay, here's what you need to know. Okay, imagine you make what you make, you live the way you live, but you want to live a certain way, but you can't afford it. FGCU can't pay their bills now. They're in the ASUN. They're playing 15 sports. If you play football, you're going to be playing a minimum of 20 sports, and you're going to have to fund a football program.
Right.
They can't pay their bills now. They can't come close to paying their bills now. It would bankrupt the university. And we've talked about this. See, Felipe, you're thinking as an FGCU student, but to sustain FGCU football, Southwest Florida is going to have to go to the games. Well, in the short time you've been here, what do you know about Southwest Florida? Everybody's already a fan of somebody. They've picked their teams. An Ohio State fan's not going to an FGCU football game. A Gator fan's not going. An Knowles fan's not going. Okay? 5 years from now, when you're no longer there, Canes game or FGCU game, which one you going to?
Oh, I'm going to a Canes game.
There you go.
Thank you. And
But-
that is why they shouldn't play football.
But if I'm on campus,
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Your money doesn't matter.
And here's
There's
the other
there
thing.
20,000 students there?
Well,
So
no, it's like 15 now, but they're capped at 20 is my understanding. They don't need football. Now, if they take the cap off and they're trying to have 50, 60,000 students, that's a totally different equation. But my understanding is this university is capped to be a nice, small, cute little university by the state of Florida. You're gaining 500-800 students every year. You don't need a thing.
Look, I get that Southwest Florida is a bridge for, at least in the NFL, for Bucks and Dolphins fans. It's right in the middle, pretty much.
Yeah, but
there's no football in this area. Well, there's high school football.
I got you, but bad college football is not. I mean, let me ask you this: how many FIU or FAU games have you been to?
God, have I been to FIU games, and they are. Oh,
That would be better than the football played here.
Felipe, do you get the sense from anyone in Southwest Florida who doesn't go to class at FGCU that, man, you know what we're really missing here? We're missing a college football team.
This isn't a college football town.
Well, no,
It is
actually,
a
it's a huge college football town.
For other
But
teams.
there you go.
Right. All right, we're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
It's another reason to watch the Miller and Moulton show on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel. The commercial breaks. We go off on tangents. We go down paths. Hell, we leave the grounds. We circle. We go get food. We come back. All in due time. That was spirited. Felipe put his FGCU hat on all of a sudden, which is weird because all he does is wear Miami stuff.
Right. And, well, we had to beat him down a little bit.
Right. He did the whole, you know what we need? We need a football team. Oh, for goodness sakes. Really? Really? Did he just say that? We looked at one another like, are we going to have to take him out to the woodshed?
And we did.
We
took
did.
90 to 120 seconds.
Right. We looked at one another and said, well, it must be done. It must be done.
Look, I've been here for 4 years. You guys have been here for
Ever.
You know more about the area than I do.
Yeah.
I'm just a desperate college student who wants a college football team.
Well, go to Canes games.
I do.
And listen, I get it if you're on campus. I totally get it. I mean, as Mark said to you, not so politely, sorry, you don't count. Okay? You don't. I mean, it's a campus of about 16,000 students. It's not going to sustain a football program. All right? For a football program to be sustained, it's got to be sustained by Southwest Florida. And what does Southwest Florida care about?
Themselves.
Right.
Mostly. And put it this way, and I know football and basketball are two different things, but if we cared about FGCU, then the women's team would sell out every game because we have one of the top 25 teams in the country playing in our backyard.
Mm-hmm.
They're terrific.
They are, by the way.
I mean, they really are. Carl Semesco's done everything right in his entire tenure being that coach.
Wait, you mean he's won at a higher winning percentage than Pat Summitt?
Pat Summitt.
Okay.
And they don't sell out. You know, the Dunk City thing's long and dead. The basketball team can't sell but, 2,000 tickets to a game. And students get in free.
And students don't even go.
There you have it.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this year they're missing a decent team. Be curious. I got a 3-game homestand coming up here. They may run it. This may be a case kind of like the year that turned out to be the Sweet 16 team in which people turned around at the end of Andy's second year and went, wait a minute, they won 20 games? 21 games? What? I mean, if they sweep this homestand, which they have a chance to do, they'll be at 18.
And the good news for the little engine that is FGCU is that Liberty's going to a big boy conference.
Right.
So their dominance on the conference should be back.
It should come back
In the next couple of years here. When does Liberty officially leave?
As soon as classes are done in May, I think.
So by next year, FGCU could be the class of the A-Sun again, which is great on campus. because getting into the tournament is everything, and they're going to have a lot better chance with Liberty not in the conference anymore.
In a bunch of sports, that is for sure. Jacksonville State also leaves with them, and they're really good at basketball, so that helps.
We had a great comment in the Twitch chat saying if FGCU had a football team, they would need to give away free beer in order to fill up the stadium.
It wouldn't
work.
It still wouldn't work. We've talked about this at length. We don't want to bore people who have heard it before. We think the only way, besides $100 million, that it would work is they would have to play at the perfect level. And we think it's FCS.
Because they can win championships at the FCS
level.
level.
They can make the playoffs. And these games are now nationally televised, and they would make them nationally relevant. To be able to put is there an FCS school in Florida?
I don't believe that there is.
I mean, that's the other thing that would benefit the first one to do it. It's why you and I have only said it for 15 years. Between FAU and FIU, one of them needs to drop down a level, and they'd compete for national championships immediately.
And it's why I always have my big case study, and I really would love to spend a couple of days in Boone, North Carolina, and sit with the folks at Appalachian State, because App State has done a great job of moving from FCS to Division I. They've qualified for a bowl game every year. They've won every one of their bowl games. But the game that everybody remembers that App State played is when they were in FCS and they beat the University of Michigan. They've jumped. I don't know if the community thinks better, worse, the same of what they've done. They have a beautiful stadium. Beautiful stadium.
I mean, they have this debate in Fargo periodically. They've had it for a long time. Fargo, North Dakota State was a Division II power, 60s, 70s, 80s, into the 90s. Now, obviously, they've moved up in the last generation to FCS, and they are the power. 8 out of 9, 9 out of 10, something ridiculous. They have a beautiful dome, seats about 19,000 people. All right. And the whole community's behind it. Could they go and move up to Division I? Absolutely, they could. Could they join the Mountain West or, whatever it is that they could join? Yeah.
At this rate, the Big 12.
All right. But, I mean, trust me, I know a little bit about that fan base. I mean, by now, they're totally spoiled with success. I mean, they were complaining about this year's team, and it won the national title. Could you imagine if all of a sudden you join the Mountain West and you're going 7-5?
And even if they do what App State has done, which has had some 10-1 type seasons or 10-2 seasons, hey, they're never going to get in the playoff. They're never going to play a truly meaningful game other than some crappy bowl game against some other crappy conference's champion.
Give it a generation. I think the university needs to get older. I think more kids, quite frankly, Felipe, like you, will you stay? Will you meet someone, work here, stay here, raise your family here 10, 15 years from now? Okay, then that's what that university is literally only 7 minutes ago experiencing for the first time. And the university is 25 years old, but it's really 20. And so they don't have that.
I get it. And I will say, although scholarships are expensive, it's not like we would have trouble getting talent.
No. But you have to add, you would have to add a minimum of 4 women's sports just to pull off the FCS.
Yes.
So now you're going from 15 to 20 sports minimum. Might have to add 5 women's sports. They can't pay the bills on 15. You want to increase it to 20 plus, and you want one of them to be football.
Now, when someone 15 years from now that graduated,
right,
that has Naples wealth,
yeah,
and wants to stroke a big boy check,
yeah,
8 digits.
I think it was Ben Hill Griffin, either the 3rd or the 4th. Okay, before he passed, he wanted FGCU to play football, and he had the check to do it. And those around him had to politely go, sir, I don't think we're ready. This would not be a good thing. All right. And he was like, come on, let's go. Let's do it.
Now, would you build the stadium on campus?
Well, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
There's no room.
There's no room.
Right.
By the way, I just want to say this conversation sparked up because FGCU just announced that they're tearing down 12 acres of land on campus for future development.
And he immediately associated 12 acres
right.
being enough for a football stadium.
Right. He immediately said, well,
which if there's 120 acres, it might be enough.
Right. But come on, 12 acres. I mean, a few more solar panels and a stadium.
Little tiny stadium.
Little tiny. What is this? The Clash at the Coliseum? Little tiny track?
There's a lot of little sign. You want to watch football around here? Go to some of the little tiny stadiums. They're called high schools.
Yeah.
They do just fine.
I'm with the gentleman in the Twitch chat room, okay? That if the day between now and 20 years from now, if we say that's a generation between now and 2040, the one that you and I always thought, because this is a hockey area and their club team is terrific and they do have a place to play, they'd have to rent it and work around the blades. But the problem is, for as good as college hockey and as big as college hockey has become, all right, it has not invaded the South.
No, Huntsville tried it.
And did pretty well, but they had no one to play.
Right.
They had no conference to join.
So expensive.
Right. And that's part of the problem. Like a conference has not yet formed in the South for college hockey.
But it is expanding. Arizona State now has college hockey. I mean, and you're talking about 20 scholarships versus 65.
Right.
So you literally could add a men's and a women's team and call it a day.
So you know how historically college football, you got SEC, the most powerful conference. What's the SEC of hockey, college hockey?
There isn't one anymore. They ruined it.
Yeah, it was called the WCHA.
What?
Yeah, Western.
Don't. You hit us in a real hard spot right there. There used to be. There was two conferences. One had Wisconsin, Minnesota. The other one had Michigan and Michigan State, and a lot of little schools.
Got it.
You know, so little schools played against the big schools in the conference, and
they played
the Big
Friday
Ten
and
Network,
Saturday nights. It was amazing.
And the Big Ten Network crushed that because now the Big Ten has a hockey conference, and it just kind of left the other schools out there to die.
So it's the Big Ten.
No,
not really. It's
there isn't a dominant hockey conference anymore.
No, there's a little this, a little that, and they add it up and they play a tournament. Tournament's amazing. All right, tournament's absolutely
should be in
amazing.
Tampa every year.
Yes, it should.
The Frozen Four should be in Tampa every year.
Yep,
it does really well. People love to travel to it. It's a great destination. If you're a hockey team, and I know it sounds weird, but we're trying to get to Tampa. Your fan base could not wait. It's in April. They can't wait to get here.
I mean, really, every time they've had the Frozen Four in Tampa, it's been celebrated like it was Vegas.
My dad does not watch a lick of hockey, and he went to the Frozen Four a couple years ago. He said it was awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's great. You and I, one of our favorite sporting events, it went away a handful of years ago, the college hockey tournament between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah, it was most underrated event in the area because there was really good players here, good teams, but that went away as well. Yep.
Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. It is all coming up next. Also, our poll question and early returns about Mike McDaniel, the new head coach of the Dolphins. All next on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Urban, did you go to Eastern Kentucky? I don't know, man. We got cool colors. We would have sick uniforms, sick helmets. That would be cool.
What happened there? Did someone walk in?
Oh yeah. What's his name? Technician.
The engineer there? The
Yeah, engineer. Yeah, he walked in and then walked right out. I was like, okay. But in a perfect world, man, would we have cool uniforms? Oh, those helmets would go hard.
Stetson's an FCS? Bethune-Cookman, Florida A&M are FCS.
Well,
Someone
yeah,
texted.
that's true. The historically black colleges are FCS. That's true.
And it says Stetson is as well. Someone just texted the show per Wikipedia.
Well,
Bethune,
it's funny because Stetson, that must be very recent because Stetson was non-scholarship football in the Pioneer League. I thought still.
well, I'm going to check.
That's true. We already have like 4 flag football fields. So probably they're just probably going to build more classrooms, more buildings and stuff.
They're members in the Pioneer League.
I believe that's non-scholarship.
It says
football.
Division I FCS.
Okay.
I
I thought it was non-scholarship football.
Hey, you're gonna have to turn the computer thing on for the mic because I'm gonna do when we're done with the show. I got to do a little interview here that I'm gonna do on Zoom for another radio show.
Oh, okay. Wait.
Do we have time to cut our promos?
Yeah, we got to cut our promo pretty quickly if we can, please.
Cool.
Wait a minute, Ave Maria has a football team?
Yeah, they do actually.
I think they're NAIA.
Okay, they played them last year. That was one of their wins.
David, I was saying just in a perfect world, imagine how awesome our uniforms would be.
I think you're right.
They would be good.
I think you're right because the teams they're playing are not like Princeton, Davidson, Marist, St. Thomas, Drake, Presbyterian, Dayton, Morehead State, and San Diego.
Drake?
Yeah,
I think those are all non-schollies.
I think they are also.
You get the FGCU, the bird logo with a nice green and blue pearlescent helmet. Oh. White jersey, blue pants, green stripe.
Boy, oh boy. Apparently radio producers are really big into uniforms.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a sucker for uniforms.
No. So is Casio. I'm just fine. It's really funny.
You know, anytime we play like NBA 2K or something like that, and someone wears a jersey color that's too close to mine, I'm like, change it right now. Change it. I need a good jersey combo. I care about aesthetics.
How tall are you on your own creative player?
Oh, I have like 3 builds. So I got a center, I got a slashing point guard, and I got a playmaking small forward. My favorite is the big man, though. I wish I was a big man.
It's more than I needed.
Post. Ooh.
Stop while you're way behind.
Embiid.
Stop while you're way behind.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, to clear up a couple things. The historically black colleges are FCS. So Bethune and FAMU, they are FCS. I said there were no FCS schools in the state. Someone mentioned Stetson's an FCS school. Technically they are, but they play non-scholarship football. So, I mean, I don't want to say it's not to be taken seriously, but it's not to be taken seriously if we're talking about making the FCS playoffs and playing for the title. And their
big win was against Ave Maria last year.
So there you go.
Poll question today is simply, will the Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel see the 4th year of his contract? And right now, 53% of you say no.
I'm in the 47%. I think he sees year 4. Now, getting through year 4, I mean, Philbin couldn't get through year 4. Sperano couldn't get through year 4. I mean, in fact, Cameron lasted a year. Sperano was fired with 3 games left in his year 4. Philbin was fired like 5 games into year 4. Gase got 3. Flores got 3. Saban did 2. Last coach to do 4 years with the Dolphins is our buddy Dave Wanstead.
Think about that.
It's also the last coach they hired with previous head coaching experience.
Was I alive for that?
Yes.
Oh.
Barely.
You don't remember it.
Couldn't complete sentences, but I was alive.
That is true. You were hooked on phonics and you didn't know it. But yeah, 2000 through, he had 4 winning, his first 4 years were 4 winning seasons. He won 40 games, made the playoffs twice. And then it kind of fell apart in year 5. Well, Ricky retired. That hurt. That was a bummer.
I mean, that's when everybody was running the damn ball, David.
That's right.
So we drafted running backs early.
Yeah, we traded up for him. Right. Oh, those were the
quarterback
days.
in the first round. Are you
What
crazy?
the heck? I can get me a tailback.
I can get me a running back.
19 minutes before the hour. It is time for
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the
Whoa.
oldest soul to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When.
Whoa.
The hip-hop version.
going to start in 1795. It was on February 7th that the 11th Amendment was ratified. That affirms the power of the states. All of you arguing states' rights over the years? There you go. 227 years ago today. The Great Baltimore Fire was on this date in 1904. If you're not familiar with it, 1,500 buildings, 80 blocks of Baltimore burned to the ground 118 years ago today. 1940, Walt Disney's second feature-length movie premiered. Care to guess?
What year?
1940. Disney's second movie.
Pinocchio.
Yes.
Oh, I was going to say Bambi.
Well played. 1949. Joe DiMaggio becomes the first $100,000 baseball player. 1949. 1950. Joe McCarthy claims there are communists in the State Department.
It's never a good claim, David.
Well, you need to, it's kind of like Brian Flores.
You need
You
proof.
can make the claim, but you
better
gotta
have
back it
some
up.
proof.
Yep. Got to back it up.
Tough one to prove.
60 years ago today, President Kennedy began the Cuba blockade, banning all imports and exports from Cuba. That worked out well for everyone involved.
Yeah.
Didn't it?
Mhm.
Yep. Mhm. It was on this day in 1964. It was a biggie. The British invasion was underway. The Beatles landed at JFK. 3,000 screaming fans. 2 days later, they would appear on the Ed Sullivan Show.
And the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah, very much so.
Coordinated a little bit. Capitol Records promoted it bigly that they were arriving, so that crowd would show up at the airport, and that's the photos we all kind of know from Beatlemania.
All right. And I was not alive, as were you, but 73 million people watched their performance on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Right.
73 million. Right. The NFC Championship game just did 51 million.
Right. And well, how many people were in this country? There's 330 million now. There weren't that many then.
No. So 40% of all televisions were turned to the Ed Sullivan Show on that day.
Oh, how would you like to be the show that ran across from Ed Sullivan?
Well, it's like the joke. Remember in Kansas City, they had the ratings for the Chiefs-Bills game, and it did like a 90 share, and PBS was second with 2. PBS in Kansas City sent out a tweet that said, we'd like to thank our loyal viewers. On this day in 1969, The Who record Pinball Wizard in Morgan Studios in London.
They just announced a tour.
Hold on a second. Didn't they
It was
first
on sale in like 16 minutes.
didn't they first announce their retirement in like the early 80s? Didn't they do a farewell show in
They did.
Toronto at Maple Leafs Gardens?
They did.
And it was early 80s, right?
Mid, but I think wasn't that the whole HBO concert thing that they did? Hey, someone needs money.
Who retires more? And unretires more? The Who or a championship fighter?
The Who.
I think you're
Close.
right. Well, we need to all, those of us of a certain age, just take a moment. It was on this day in 1974 that Blazing Saddles premiered in movie theaters.
Oh, my goodness.
48 years ago today. Felipe, don't say a word, just watch it. And you'll watch it in shock and modified horror based on what it is that you can and cannot see and do today. 1976, Mark, it's a record that still stands. Toronto's Darryl Sittler, 10 points in an NHL game. The Maple Leafs beat the Bruins 11-4. Sittler had 6 goals and 4 assists. 1980, Pink Floyd begins the Wall tour.
Oh, would I have loved to have seen that?
1991, Bob Knight, Tiny Archibald, Dave Cowens, all elected to the Hall of Fame. Super Bowl 44 was on this date 12 years ago in Miami. It's when Prince sang Purple Rain in the Rain. Oh, yeah, the Saints beat the Colts 31-17. Breeze, your MVP. 6 years ago today, Peyton goes out a winner. Super Bowl 50, Broncos 24, Cam and Carolina 10. Von Miller, your MVP. And Bucs fans, what a year it was. A year ago today, 31-9 over the Chiefs. Mark, Dan Quisenberry would have been 69 today. The great Royals reliever who died tragically at 45 because of a brain tumor. Charles Dickens was born on this day 210 years ago. Bert Hooton is 72. Yes, that's for me.
Excuse me?
Bert Hooton.
Who?
Pitcher. Had a knuckle curve. He was a good pitcher on the Dodgers teams, the really good Dodgers teams, late 70s, early 80s. Reggie hits the 3 home runs. The first home run he hit in game 6 of 77, because he hit the 3 home runs on 3 different pitchers,
Was off of who?
Bert Hooton.
Gotcha.
James Spader's 62 today. Garth Brooks is 60. Chris Rock's 57. Juwan Howard's 49. Steve Nash is 48. How old's Ashton Kutcher?
42.
Pretty good, 44. Matt Stafford's 34 today. It's a big week for him.
Good week.
I don't know if you've heard. And Steven Stamkos, the Stammer, is 32.
Well, as long as he gets that kid to see the Zamboni. I don't know if anybody caught the presser from the All-Star game, but his kid was on his lap and just kept going, I want to see the Zamboni. I want to see the Zamboni. And finally, Stammer got up and said, we're going to go see the Zamboni. Sorry, guys.
And that was today was the day.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
For the good today, we go to the lotto and the scratchers, where Mendez Rodriguez, 19 years old from Naples, won the top prize in the fastest road to $1 million scratch-off game. Will take a lump sum of $790,000. Damn. 19 years old. That ain't all bad.
No, that'll work.
These bad and uglies are great. Like, fantastic. No disclaimers needed. But we go to Tampa for the bad, where police were called to a high-rise apartment building after witnesses said a naked man pulled a fire alarm and then was spraying people with a fire extinguisher as they evacuated the building. According to a string of tweets from 8 on Your Side investigator who witnessed the incident, a naked man was running with a fire extinguisher near a high-rise apartment building on 12th Street. One tweet read, "The naked man is being chased by a group of people. What in the world is happening?" He was arrested and detained. That's the bad, because the ugly,
Oh, boy.
we go to Port St. Lucie, where a car was left on train tracks. It was struck, catapulted into a hole. Fortunately, no one was injured, but the story is what makes it great. 38-year-old Branford Weitzel left a bar early Saturday morning to find that his car was missing. So he stole another vehicle in an attempt to find his own vehicle. And that car suddenly stopped dead on train tracks. He bailed from the car and ran as the train struck the oncoming vehicle and sent it into a nearby home. Then he continued to flee into a nearby fruit stand where he vandalized the stand and attempted to steal a forklift. Eventually, he flagged down responding deputies to ask for help for finding his missing car and then told them the series of events that happened when he was finally taken into custody. And that, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, February the 7th, 2022.
Mark, the NHL resumes just like that. Just like that. I know they just had All-Star Weekend, but there's 2 games tonight, and one of them is really good, Carolina and Toronto. The other one's unwatchable. It's New Jersey and Ottawa.
That pretty much is unwatchable, even for Seth.
And not only that, New Jersey lost their best player, Jack Hughes, because he came back from the All-Star game and tested positive for COVID. Maple Leafs are favored tonight. I think I'd have to put a few shekels on the Canes. I can get odds with the Canes. I think I'd have to go there. Pay attention. NBA trading deadline's a little more than 72 hours out. It's 3:00 on Thursday. There are 5 games tonight. One of them involves the Heat. They're in Washington, 5.5-point favorite against the Wizards. Phoenix and Chicago, Golden State and Oklahoma City. So a lot of good teams on the road tonight in the association.
4 ranked teams playing college hoop tonight, David. Duke is hosting Virginia. They're an 11.5-point favorite in that one. Arizona's on the road at Arizona State. It's a 9 p.m. tilt if you actually want to see Arizona, who's really good. And Kansas and Texas go at it. Kansas, a 1-point favorite on the road as, well, if you're going to win the Big 12, it's going through Kansas again because they whacked Baylor over the weekend.
Boy, did they ever.
Just made a little announcement, did they? And said, hey, I got you, but the Jayhawks are getting ready for March.
Listen, I know there's 7 of you that care, but we've been following this storyline. Did you see what Florida women's team did over the weekend? They beat nationally ranked Georgia. They're 17-6. Kelly Ray Finley's that interim coach. I mean,
she's got the job.
What? Why does she not have it now?
I'm telling you.
That was a
Strickland
grease fire.
Just needs to get this done today.
Put a blank piece of paper in front of her hand and say, what do you think's fair? My goodness. Done a great job. But just wanted to mention that.
Poll question was about Mike McDaniel, the new Dolphins head coach. 4-year contract. Will he see year 4? The believers are starting to come out, David.
There you go. That's right. That's right. Come on now.
We've got it to 48-52 by the end of the show. Who knows how it'll end up by tomorrow morning?
I mean, tell you what, Mark doesn't believe in you. I do. You want to sway Mark? Follow the show on Twitch, and then he's in your camp.
You know, that's a great point. If he or any of you would like to go to twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, where you can follow our show. We ask every day, follow, subscribe. You catch all the commercials in a little different atmosphere during the breaks.
Right. Going to be a lot of storylines that begin to play themselves out. Media night is tonight, if you will, at the Super Bowl. Although, wait, the Bengals are not going
They're
to be
not even
there?
going to be there. So I guess it's the Rams media night.
I didn't think that was allowed. I actually thought there was kind of a Super Bowl rule. You had to be there by Monday afternoon. I'm not kidding.
We'll see.
I know. That's strange.
It is Super Bowl week.
Yeah, but, the teams want to get to the whole price. They want to get this out of the way.
Right.
So they can start getting ready for the game.
Right. At least have the nice, solid 90-minute practices, even though they put in all the game planning and everything. That was all done at home. So
you've got nothing on this game yet. You are completely undecided.
I really am. All weekend, people that I was around, what do you think of the game? I go, I am lost about the game. I would like to think that this is the game in which the offensive line comes back to haunt the Bengals. I would like to think Aaron Donald, Floyd, Von Miller could just say, sorry, guys, you aren't good enough, and win this thing. But
well, that's where I've been. I've got a couple other reasons behind it that aren't so football-esque that I will get to as the week progresses, David.
Really? I love the non-football reasons. Hell, they're as good as any. Have a great rest of your day. And thanks so much for listening to Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg presents